right, good morning, everybody. Straight up 8 o'clock. This is an Oklahoma Weather Alert. William Cole here in the Forecast Center. And we're now beginning our winter weather coverage here on Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV. And we'll be here with you as we basically go throughout the day. We do have a winter storm warning in effect. This has not changed since yesterday. Central Oklahoma, down into portions of south central Oklahoma. Again, the counties in red. Again, winter storm warning, again, is now in effect. We've got our team of trackers out. We will be talking with them as well here over the next few minutes. But first of all, radar, as we kind of take an overview here of what's going on. Now, first of all, out in west central Oklahoma, this is all snow. In fact, we now have accumulating snow out in west central Oklahoma. Here in central Oklahoma, it's essentially a mixed bag. There's still a lot of freezing rain ongoing, but there is now some snow mixing in here to portions of central Oklahoma as well, and that will be the trend as we go through the day today. There will be more in the way of, well, accumulating snow here in central Oklahoma, and, well, some of these snowfall amounts will be fairly hefty, again, as we go through the afternoon. Here's a different perspective. Mesoscan XR kind of taking off at least the precipitation type here, but showing you some of the intensities. And again, you can see up there across portions of north central Oklahoma, there is that opportunity there for at least some locally heavy freezing rain, and again also some sleet, especially where you're seeing the red right there. That's what we call bright banding, and there is an opportunity again for some sleet to mix into all of that as well. Now what I want to do, we're going to talk about your complete forecast here going forward as well, but I want to kind of break things down first of all with our team of trackers here. They're out in the field again here in central Oklahoma, western Oklahoma, and we'll kind of get an update from them, especially on the road conditions and what's going on out there. But first of all, let's go and check in here with Mike and Jesse on the western sides of the Oklahoma City Metro. Guys, you're on the live line. Go ahead and give us an update and tell us what's going on out there right now.
Yes, William, we're going to be on I-40 here around the Hinton area. We're heading eastbound, kind of closer to the city here. William, I can tell you these roads, you don't want to be on them unless you absolutely have to. These roads, ODOT is out trying to clear the roads, salting, sanding, plowing these roads. But, I mean, they have to turn around and head back the other direction all the time. So as they're swapping sides, the other side just accumulates snow back on top of it. And these roads are going to be pretty slick out here, William. I've got a great driver out here. He's doing an amazing job. But again, it's definitely very treacherous out here. We're taking things very slow. We haven't seen any wrecks so far this morning. Not that we've seen. I've been out for a few hours here. And, William, I'll tell you, people are actually taking this storm seriously. They're slowing down. They're driving very cautiously. I'm very proud of the situation that we're having right now as far as the commute right now. So again, these roads are very slick, very treacherous. We're still getting moderate to heavy snowfall here in west central Oklahoma, around the Hinton area. Just kind of a mixed bag out here. We're getting some sleet, a little bit of freezing rain, but the big story is the snow. We are definitely getting snow out here, William.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. And again, at least the good news right now is we're not seeing a whole lot of traffic on the roads right there where you guys are. So again, at least right now, a lot of folks kind of exercising that extra caution and again, not necessarily getting out there on the road. So that part right there is good. Let's also go a little bit further out to the west where we have just a little bit more in the way of accumulating snow. It's been snowing out in west central Oklahoma just a little bit longer. And some of those snowflakes look fairly impressive. We can actually see them there. This is Derek Mashaney on his window. But Derek, you're out in Weatherford. Give us an update from out there.
Yes, William. So, right now the road conditions have deteriorated at least since I've come out, and I know since the team has come out. We have huge bands of snow that are massive. I mean, if you see the video footage, you can see that they're essentially huge, which is creating more havoc because the bigger the snow, obviously the bigger it packs. But right now, I-40 eastbound, I'm between Weatherford and Clinton, and I will say this: it is dangerous to be out on the road. So if you're on the roads or you need to get to work, or you're commuting, especially in western Oklahoma, regardless of which direction you're going, the roads are going to be dangerous. They are slick. Right now, I'm running 22 on I-40, which tells you, people are, taking the precautions when driving. And that's what we need today is a complete focus from our citizens. If you are traveling, due to the fact that the danger is out there, and people that are commuting, you just have to be careful. But right now we do have a pretty good amount, significant amount of snow that has fallen. It's still falling. It's coming down, and with it being below freezing at the moment, the road conditions are going to keep deteriorating as we do kind of move into the morning, into the mid-afternoon. So that's one thing we are kind of keeping an eye on. Thankfully, I have not seen any accidents. Heading west, some people, are exercising precautions as best as they can. But right now, we're just keeping an eye on the weather conditions, the road conditions, and everything as it kind of comes through. Back to you, William.
Yeah, Derek, really appreciate that update. Great job there. And again, just to kind of underscore again, even from west central Oklahoma out there around Weatherford, again, we're just not seeing a lot of traffic on the roadways. But as we know, with every winter storm we have here in Oklahoma, as you get out on I-40, a lot of times there's big time issues, especially once you get out there around the Weatherford area. And again, that's exactly where Derek Mashani is. Just kind of still bouncing around with our team of trackers here just a little bit, only because, again, that's kind of where we're getting the real, at least real-time information on the road conditions coming in. I know Mike and Jesse, you guys are still out there around Hinton. You're getting a little bit closer there to the western sides of the Oklahoma City Metro. But again, Mike, as we're looking at your video there on the top box on the left-hand side, again, I-40 still looks almost completely dead. Of course, that's good. We don't want folks out on the roads. But again, as you're making the track just a little bit closer now to central Oklahoma, again, kind of give us an update again from your vantage point and from your location there as well.
Yes, William. We're gonna be past Hinton now. I'm watching the Mesoscan here in the truck too. But again, the roadways are very, very slick and dangerous out here. ODOT has been out here. They're salting, they're sanding, they're clearing these roads. But again, the accumulation rate is actually, pretty high out here. So the roads are just automatically getting recovered out here, just about as fast as they can, clear them, turn around, they're covered again. So again, very dangerous. But yes, you did hit the nail on the head, William, when you said we're seeing very little traffic out here, which is a very good thing. We haven't seen any wrecks, we haven't seen any spin outs, anything like that. And so again, we're out here, we're just taking our time. Actually, the road just kind of cleared up a little bit as we keep heading eastbound here. But again, these roads are very dangerous. I wouldn't be out on them unless you absolutely have to. Just stay at home, drink your hot cocoa, watch what we're bringing to you live. And again, we'll continue to bring you guys the latest live weather information that you guys come to expect from Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV, William.
Okay, Mike, really appreciate that update. And again, like Mike said, the roads are clearing up slightly as he's getting a little bit closer to the western sides of the Oklahoma City Metro. And the main reason for that, it's been snowing more out in west central Oklahoma. And we'll just kind of leave this boxed up here. But again, you can see where it's been snowing out on I-40, west central Oklahoma. Again, here in central Oklahoma, it's primarily been, as we've gone through the overnight now, at least the first part of the morning, it's been a lot more in the way of freezing rain. So there's been a lot more in the way of, as opposed to snow accumulation that's kind of wet. There's a little bit of glaze again here in central Oklahoma. But as we go through the day, and in fact, even the morning, the snow you're seeing out there in west central Oklahoma, that is going to begin to quickly build on in here to central Oklahoma as well. And again, yes, we will be seeing snow here, accumulating snow here in central Oklahoma, again, as we go through the morning. There has been some sleet mixed in, especially where you're kind of seeing the orange as I kind of take the mask off here of the different precipitation types. And this is Mesoscan XR here, but where you're seeing the oranges, there's at least the opportunity for even some sleet to be mixing in there as well. Road conditions, again, they are slick and hazardous, especially here in central Oklahoma. This is from officially the Oklahoma Highway Patrol, again, where you're seeing the area of red, slick and hazardous. Outside of that, definitely slick spots. And in fact, just from the video we're seeing out there in west central Oklahoma, I think we could most likely expand that now, the slick and hazardous, even out into portions of west central Oklahoma as well. So we're currently at 31 in central Oklahoma. We're below freezing. Temperatures are not going to move much at all. Again, as we go through the day today, again, essentially 30s, lower 30s. Those will be fairly common, 31, 32, again, out there right now, and even around the rest of the state. Again, that's essentially what we're seeing. Temperatures basically hovering right at, or again, just below freezing. We're going to kind of skip through a few maps here. Let's go and kind of talk about the forecast going forward. We're going to get back to our team of storm trackers coming up here momentarily. But at least through the rest of the day today, some of the highest impacts, they are going to be on the bridges. In fact, we're going to put those up into the critical category. In fact, we're even seeing that out there now, even here at mid-morning, even in central Oklahoma, even though the snow hasn't necessarily moved in with the freezing rain that we've seen, especially throughout the overnight period, those bridges are absolutely slick and hazardous. Keep that in mind, and there will be impacts to the roads as we go through the day today as well. So here's at least my forecast as we get into the afternoon. The snow continues in west central Oklahoma, but also here in the central Oklahoma, the snow will build in again as we go through the day. Temperatures hovering there essentially right at freezing. So then as we get into tonight, again, essentially the precipitation will push over into eastern Oklahoma. It'll actually primarily change back over to liquid precipitation in eastern Oklahoma, again, as we go through the overnight period. And then tomorrow, better weather for tomorrow. The sun returns, but again, with some snow on the ground, still some chilly temperatures in parts of Oklahoma. So what about the ice and snow projections here? Again, this is the really important part of the forecast here. But again, with the freezing rain we've seen overnight and at least still this morning in central Oklahoma, there could be about 1/10 of an inch. That's a fairly light glaze, especially by at least freezing rain standards. So yes, there will be some glaze around. It is causing issues right now in central Oklahoma, especially on those bridges and overpasses. But as we go through the day, again, the primary threat, especially deeper into the afternoon, it will be the accumulating snow. Even here in central Oklahoma, 2 to 3 inches of snow, I think, could be quite possible. Even across portions of west central Oklahoma, there could be a bullseye out there where we're seeing over 4 to, well, possibly 6 inches of heavy snow, again, out there across portions of west central Oklahoma. So again, really, this winter storm just now beginning to kick into gear here, really across Oklahoma. So let's do this. I want to kind of jump back with our team of trackers. That's kind of the important information. We'll keep you up to date on the forecast, obviously, as we go through the morning. But again, the real-time information that we really want to continue to get, again, it's from our team of trackers, again, out in the field. I want to go back out to the Weatherford area. That's where Derek Machaney is. It's the bottom box there on the left-hand side of your screen. But Derek, you're on the live line. You're out in west central Oklahoma, accumulating snow out there. How much snow's fallen out there around the Weatherford area? Also give us an update on the roads as well.
Estimation-wise, I would probably bring it at least a half inch to an inch so far. The accumulation is falling pretty rapidly. So obviously throughout the morning, if it continues to come down as much as it is, obviously the accumulation is going to get heavier and heavier. But too, be careful because we did get freezing rain this morning, and you can't really see it that well on I-40. But with the amount of snow that we do have right now, it is there, and it is slick. And so it's one of those things that I want to tell people that are traveling, especially if you're going west. Be careful because right now it sounds like the westbound traffic is a little bit heavier. Away from the metro, the farther away from the metro we get. So with all the people on the highway, that does kind of create a danger for the public, especially for those that aren't careful. But right now, everybody seems to be exercising precautions and running slowly. So, one thing I'm keeping an eye on, and once I have more information, back to you.
Okay, Derek, really appreciate that update right there. Let's also go and bounce out to Mike, Russ, and Jesse. You guys are on the western sides of the Oklahoma City metro. You're just now kind of starting to pull out of the snow. Again, we've seen more snow out in western Oklahoma. Again, where Derek Machaney is. Again, here in central Oklahoma, we are going to be transitioning over to snow again as we go through the morning. But there's been more in the way of freezing rain, still causing travel impacts. But again, as far as snow accumulations go, a little bit on the lower side so far. But guys, as you're coming down to the western sides of the metro, Mike, looks like there's a bit of maybe even a traffic backup there. Give us an update from your location.
Yes, William. I got to do this kind of quick because we've got a little spot of where we lose cell phone service. But we do appear to have an accident on I-40. It's going to be on the westbound side here at the exit 108. again, we can't get to it. Nobody can. In fact, we're seeing other people that are wanting to get a shot of it and they can't. People are stopped. This is a pretty big backup here, but we can't see the accident from our standpoint heading eastbound. It's right there in that Canadian River Valley, which kind of tends to have all the problems anyways. So again, due to the trees and stuff, we could not see the accident, but it is backed up now past the 108. This is probably a good 2 to 3 miles backed up here, William. So again, if you're going to be heading westbound, you definitely want to give yourself a lot of extra time if you're heading to western Oklahoma from the metro area, due to just the road conditions and now, the traffic snarls as well. So again, the roads, that just goes to show you the roads are very slick and treacherous out here, William. So definitely take it slow if you're having to come out on these roadways. Don't do it if you don't have to, though. If you have the opportunity, I know there's a lot of closings around the state. So if you don't have to be out, please don't be out. We're trained. We're professionals at what we do. We take things very slowly on this kind of situation, and we're going to continue to bring you the most information we can, William.
Okay, Mike, really appreciate that update, and a good job, again, for you guys out there as well. And again, we can definitely tell you guys are taking it nice and slow on the roads. For the most part, we haven't seen a lot of traffic on I-40 out there, which has been good. But again, where there's kind of that traffic snarl that we just saw, obviously looked like it was maybe backed up for, possibly 2 miles. So that possibly could have been why we weren't seeing a lot of traffic out there. But again, even as you're coming in, Mike, on the western sides of the metro, this is something I asked Derek as well. How much snow is already on the ground where you are? And again, keep in mind, the western sides of the Oklahoma City metro, we've seen less snow there. There will be more snow, though, obviously, as we go through the day that really builds in. But Mike, where you guys are now, and again, we're kind of seeing it accumulating on the side of the road, but out on the grassy surfaces, is it just kind of a dusting, or what would you guesstimate there on the western sides of the metro?
I'm moving right now.
Probably about, it's really just kind of a dusting out here, William. But we've probably had an inch or two, but due to the melting and the mixed bag of precip that we're receiving with the freezing rain, that freezing rain kind of helps melt the snow.
Okay, Mike, we may have lost you there just momentarily, but yeah, no, really appreciate that update. And again, at least the good news right now, again, is just the fact that there's not a lot of folks out there on the roads. I want to go back over to the weather computer here real quick, and I want to kind of take a look at the overview here. And as we take a look, first of all, let's go take a look at Mesoscan XR here. And as we do that, again, you can see this is really what I'm talking about, is the fact that west central Oklahoma is primarily, as we've gone through the morning, that's where the snow has been. And in fact, we're still seeing it right now. Of course, the areas of white, that's where the snow is there. And again, you can see here in central Oklahoma, it's primarily been a mixed bag of precipitation, talking about freezing rain and, well, even some sleet as we've gone through the morning. But here over the next hour to 2 hours, the area of snow in west central Oklahoma, it is going to continue to build in here to central Oklahoma as well. And what you're seeing on, well, the western sides of the metro and even out there around the Weatherford area, again, those snow accumulations, again, will begin to build in here as well. Right now, the way it looks, 2 to maybe even 3 inches of snow could be quite possible, if not likely, again, here in central Oklahoma, again, with those travel impacts continuing as well. Let's go and take a look at our travel map here. I've just updated that here with some new information as well while we were talking to Mike. And as we get that punched up here, there are definitely travel impacts. And again, travel's not recommended if it's possible at all that you don't have to get out on the roads today. It is absolutely highly recommended. Obviously, you want to stay in, you want to stay warm, you want to stay safe. But again, we've extended that slick and hazardous all the way out there into portions of west central Oklahoma, again, where Derek Machaney is. And again, you can see the roads out there on I-40. In some places, they are snow covered. So again, area of red there, slick and hazardous, all of west central Oklahoma now. And it does include all of the Oklahoma City metro metro as well. Even though here in central Oklahoma we've had less in the way of accumulating snow, it's been really about the freezing rain that we've seen overnight. And again, that freezing rain overnight on some of the bridges and overpasses, it continues to really cause some treacherous travel again here in central Oklahoma. So again, just bottom line, one more time, I know some folks, there's no alternative. You have to go to work and you can't not go to work, and we understand that. But if that is the case and you're not already there, definitely make sure you're using excessive caution. Again, going to work, make sure you're going slow. Again, you can see how slow our storm trackers are going, definitely taking their time. Again, that's what we would recommend. But again, if you don't have to get out and about, you don't need to be out running errands, doing things like that, stay in and stay warm. I want to do this. I want to go back down to Derek Mashaney. He's out in west central Oklahoma, out in the Weatherford area. And again, that's where we've seen more in the way of accumulating snow out there. And Derek, we're going to check your stream. It may have frozen up just momentarily. We'll check that here. But Derek, you're out in the Weatherford area. Give us an update on the roads out there, how much snow you guys have seen, and just kind of a general update from west central Oklahoma. We may have just lost Derek. Derek, are you still on the live line with us? We may have literally just lost him momentarily there, and if so, that's fine. We'll get back to him. He may be having just a few intermittent communication issues out there, so to speak. But let's go back to radar. And again, I just want to show the overview. Then we'll also check back in with Mike Rust, one of our other storm trackers. Mike, are you still on the live line with us? Okay, and we may have actually gotten Derek back now. And so, Derek, if you're on the live line with us, give us an update from out there in west central Oklahoma.
Yes, William. So I am on 66 right now, just in between Weatherford and Clinton, heading eastbound. There is an accident on I-40. It's a single vehicle spin out. It does look like I'm trying to get a safer area here than where I'm at right now. But I will tell you, the roads here are dangerous at the moment. My windshield, as a matter of fact, was freezing over a few moments ago. That's how quick it is freezing. And so I-40 eastbound and westbound, it is dangerous. If you don't have to be out, I recommend stay home due to the fact that it is dangerous out here. Back to you, William.
Derek, yeah, I really appreciate that update. And again, we're just kind of noticing the difference, again, between your shot and, again, what we're seeing on the western sides of the metro. But what we're seeing out there in the Weatherford area, again, with the fairly heavy snow falling out there, again, that's what's going to build in here, even in central Oklahoma throughout the day. So if you're in locations like here in Norman, where our studio is, you're looking out the window, and again, it kind of looks wet out there just from the freezing rain overnight. Again, we have a real deal snowstorm, a real deal winter storm that, again, is going to continue to build in as we go through the morning and throughout the day. Derek, I mean, what is the snow intensity like out there in west central Oklahoma? I mean, it looks like we're seeing quite a bit of snow really building up fairly quickly there on your windshield.
Yes, William. So right now, the accumulation it's actually growing. And obviously with it being cold, we're still below freezing. My windshields are freezing pretty quickly when I don't have the defrost on. So right now, I'm going to say we've probably got between probably around 1 to 2 as it falls. But again, that's people driving over it, disappearing. But right now, I'm going to say we're probably at least a half inch where we kind of sit, which has made the road conditions deteriorate. So it is right now. It is unsafe, to drive. And if you don't have to be out, don't be out. I mean, your safety is your biggest priority today. And one thing I always tell people, if you are out, make sure you've got stuff with you in case you get into a bind, you have an accident, emergency services can't get to you quick enough. Blankets, water, food, stuff just for today to get you through. So that's one thing I'm keeping an eye on out here is, as the road conditions do deteriorate, everything else is going to start deteriorating, which creates a dangerous situation for those driving on I-40. Back to you, William.
Okay, really appreciate that update. What I want to do, let's go on to the western sides of the Oklahoma City Metro, and that's where we have Mike and Jesse now. And guys, you've been coming in here as well, and it still looks like you're still seeing some accumulating snow there on the side of the road, and obviously traffic's still going fairly slow. You guys did have the wreck on I-40, maybe 5 to 10 minutes ago. Traffic was really bottlenecked there for about 2 miles, but it looks like, again, as you're getting kind of closer there on the western sides of the Oklahoma City Metro, the traffic is picking up some. I mean, obviously nowhere near what a normal day would look like there on I-40, but where before, the road almost looked abandoned, luckily there were really not much in the way of any traffic on the road on I-40. It looks like the traffic, at least volume, is picking up some. But Mike, go and give us an update there on the western sides of the Metro.
Yes, William. In fact, we just passed the Calumet exit here on I-40. Now, before the Calumet exit, about a mile west on the westbound side. In fact, again, we did have one pickup that had looked like he had kind of just slid off the road. Driver appeared to be okay. He was out checking his truck. We watched him get back in it and try to attempt to make his way back out of the ditch over there. But again, it's kind of interesting. One of the things we're seeing out here, William, is it's kind of like the snow came in pockets. I know I was up periodically through the night watching the radar and everything, and I can tell you it really does look like it was pockets of just heavy snow at times, and then some areas, just within a mile of each other, you can have a dusting or you can have what looks like two. So kind of like thunderstorm, kind of the same situation as thunderstorms. This is a very convective system that's helping drop all this snow and freezing rain and drizzle out here, William. But again, these roads, as we come eastbound, they're not as bad as they were out west. However, do not let your guard down on these roads. They are still just a slick, sloppy mess out here. Again, we thought the roads were improving, and they had just spun out. So that goes to show you that we're watching it very carefully because we know these slick spots can just sneak up on you at this point. So again, these roads out here are very dangerous. We kind of see little pockets of heavier traffic, and then that slows down. But right now, we're going to be coming into the El Reno area, and we're getting kind of a mixed bag out here. We're not really seeing any freezing rain anymore, but we're getting some smaller snowflakes and pellets.
Okay, and we may have just kind of temporarily lost Mike there. He may have just kind of hit a dead zone with his cell phone signal. But what I want to do, I want to bounce out. We're going to talk about your forecast for the rest of the day coming up here momentarily as well. But I want to kind of keep bouncing around with our storm trackers a little bit right now. And the main reason why is because they're kind of telling us what's going on. I mean, obviously, you're looking at radar there on the right-hand side of your screen. I can tell you about that, but you can obviously see where it's snowing, where we're seeing the mixed precipitation. But, I mean, really, the story, at least here at mid-morning, it is what's essentially going on out there in the field with our storm trackers. We have Mike and Jesse on the western sides of the Oklahoma City Metro. That video is on the top box of the left-hand side of your screen. And then we have Derek Mahaney, who's out in the Weatherford area. That's west central Oklahoma. It's been snowing throughout the overnight out in west central Oklahoma, so there's more in the way of accumulating snow out there. But let's go back to Derek Mahaney. And Derek, give us another update from out in west central Oklahoma. Derek, if you're on the live line, looks like you are. Go and give us an update from west central Oklahoma. Okay, so we're going to check back in with Derek coming up here momentarily. We may have just lost him as well. Again, obviously, with snow, sometimes the communication's kind of in and out. But I want to do this as well. I want to go and talk about the rest of your forecast and really what to expect going forward here as well. Let me go and kind of punch that up. Let's go and talk about some snowfall totals and, again, kind of what to expect here as well. We'll get right back to the team of trackers coming up here momentarily. As far as the winter weather impacts go, this is specifically for central Oklahoma. But again, the purple bar you're seeing here, that's going to be for the bridges and the overpasses. And again, that's going to be for at least some critical impacts. In fact, we're already seeing that because of the freezing rain that we saw overnight, really last night and now early this morning as well. So here in central Oklahoma, there's some major travel issues. Right now, it's primarily the bridges and the overpasses. But as we go through the day, kind of like what you're seeing there in west central Oklahoma, as some of that snow builds in today as well, there will also be some issues on the roadways. The power grid impacts that look low to very low. And because the winds are lighter today, not much of a wind chill factor out there. So that part will be good. Let's talk about your forecast today. And again, the snow we're seeing out in west central Oklahoma, that will continue to build in basically to the I-35 corridor, central Oklahoma, southern Oklahoma. Again, snow will be likely, again, as we get a little bit deeper into the afternoon. Now tonight, as fast as that storm system really moved in this morning, it's going to quickly move on out tonight. So overnight tonight, we'll actually be ending with some liquid rain over in far eastern Oklahoma, maybe a light mix in east central Oklahoma. And then as we get into tomorrow, the sun returns, the winter storm's over, and then we'll basically begin to melt the snow. As far as ice projections go, again, mainly because of the freezing rain that we saw overnight last night, possibly 1/10 of an inch is possible. Again, that's a fairly light glaze by freezing rain standards. So again, not much glazing, but a light glaze is possible. And again, primarily here in central Oklahoma. As far as snowfall projections go, again, here in central Oklahoma, 2 to 3 inches still looks quite likely. 2 to 3 inches we're essentially already seeing in west central Oklahoma. And again, there could be a bullseye in west central Oklahoma, kind of between Lawton and the I-40 corridor, where we could see 4 to 6 inches of snow, again, really as we go through the day today. So what I want to do, I want to switch back over here to our team of trackers. And again, I believe we've got Derek Mashaney back on the live line. And Derek, let's talk about what's going on out there around the Weatherford area. Again, that's where we've seen more in the way of accumulating snow, again, as we really went through the morning and again, the overnight as well. But Derek, you're on the live line out in Weatherford. We're looking at your shot there as well. Give us an update.
Yes, William. So I got a better position from where I was. I don't know if you guys can see kind of the emergency lights on I-40, but that's where we've essentially, if you go down about 1.5 miles, I had to kind of find a safer spot up here on the bridge off of 66 due to the fact that the road conditions have actually deteriorated a little bit more. So people are sliding. We have seen that. But to kind of give you an examination of everything that's happening right now, I-40 is dangerous to be on. So if you don't have to be on I-40, don't do it. We understand if you got to work, if you got things you have to take care of. But if you don't have to be traveling today, especially on the highways, don't put yourself at risk doing it. It doesn't take much for your vehicle to spin out, and then what happens, you create a chain reaction. Next thing you know, you've got 3 or 4 cars that are in an accident or pileup. So that's one thing we were being very cautious about today. Is making sure that people are safe on the roadways as they travel, as conditions are deteriorating the longer we get into the morning. So right now, we are keeping an eye out on things that are happening here, especially in western Oklahoma. And so once I do have some more information for you, William, I will definitely pass it along back to you.
Yeah, Derek, really appreciate that update, and great shot right there as well. I want to go over to Mike Russ. Mike, as you guys are now on the western sides of the Oklahoma City Metro, it looked like you guys, at least a second ago, were seeing a little bit of a traffic snarl, or at least maybe a bit of a traffic slowdown there on I-40. And again, I believe you guys are out around the El Reno area. You're on the live line. Tell us where you are now and give us an update. Again, it looks like the volume of traffic, again, still fairly light by I-40 standards for sure. But again, on the western sides of the Metro, it's picked up a little bit. Mike, go ahead.
Yes, William. We're going to be on the, coming through the El Reno area right now. And the road, I-40 has kind of cleared up a little bit. One thing that's kind of interesting out here, it looks like ODOT has kind of pulled in some reinforcements out here. The same construction company that does a lot of work on the roadways there in the Oklahoma City metro area actually has their trucks running side by side with the ODOT trucks doing salting, sanding, and plowing these roads as well. So that's very neat to see that Oklahomans are really coming together to try to improve conditions out here. on the interstate. And I can tell you right now where we're at, they have done an outstanding job. This road actually looks nothing but wet. But again, we're still taking things slowly. We don't want to have, any black ice kind of sneak up on us. But that traffic snarl was actually because of traffic behind those two plows as they were heading westbound, clearing the roadway, William. And actually, we may have another traffic snarl coming up here. So bear with us. But again, we're in the El Reno area. Things have kind of calmed down a little bit. We're actually not having to run the windshield wipers either that much. So again, we're still taking things very carefully, very cautiously. And as soon as we have more information, William, we will pass it along.
Mike,
But right now, things are looking a lot better.
Okay, Mike, really appreciate that update. So the snow is just now beginning to push on into the Oklahoma City metro. So again, we've seen a lot of what's been going on out there in west central Oklahoma with the accumulating snow. Again, if you are here in central Oklahoma, downtown Oklahoma City, you're here in Norman where our studio's located, it's not white out there yet. But again, things will be changing quickly. And as we're looking at radar here, Oklahoma County, Cleveland County, downtown Oklahoma City, Edmond, Norman, again, right now we've still been primarily dealing with just kind of the freezing rain. It's fairly light out there right now, but here comes the snow. See that area of white right there? Here comes the snow. So that's going to quickly start building on into portions of central Oklahoma. So where Mike is out there around El Reno, it's already been snowing. In fact, it's already been snowing out there for at least an hour, maybe an hour and a half. But again, now the snow, it's going to continue to build on in to central Oklahoma. So what you're seeing out there, again, where Mike Russ is on the western sides of the metro, that will quickly build on in as well. And there's a real deal opportunity because the snow is going to last through at least most of the late morning into the early afternoon. It could, in fact, last for a good portion of the afternoon. Accumulating snow does look quite likely here in central Oklahoma. 2 to 3 inches. It could be 2 to 3 inches plus in parts of the Oklahoma City metro. You put that on top of some of the glazing we've already seen overnight, especially on the bridges and overpasses. Travel issues already this morning, yes, here in central Oklahoma, but there's only going to continue to be travel impacts worsening as we go throughout the day. So again, we're going to continue to monitor these feeds here coming in from our team of trackers as well. What I want to do, I also want to punch up road conditions here as well, just to kind of give everyone kind of an update of what's going on with the roadways. And again, central Oklahoma, out in the portions of west central Oklahoma, roads are now being reported as slick and hazardous. And that's really not a big change from what we've been talking about throughout the morning. Again, you can see the area of red right there. And again, those are roads that are being reported as slick and hazardous by the Oklahoma Highway Patrol. Outside of that, areas of yellow, there could be some slick spots. Not all the areas in yellow are seeing slick spots, but there could be some slick spots around. But again, if you're in that area of red, central Oklahoma, west central Oklahoma, yes, overall the roads are now being reported as slick and hazardous. If you're in that area of red there, the really best advice is if you don't have to get out and about, stay in. And again, obviously that's easier said than done. Some folks have to go to work. We understand that. But again, if you just have errands to run, if you just have something else to do, again, stay off the roads today, stay safe, and of course, keep your car safe as well. Heaven forbid if you were in some type of a traffic snarl out there. Again, if you're just having to go to work, you're just going to have to kind of, get out and just kind of get out in the treacherous conditions. For the most part, though, of course, the morning commute winding down, at least now here in central Oklahoma. Looks like there's a slowdown, Mike, that you guys are running into. We're going to get back out to the Weatherford area here momentarily as well. Mike, are we seeing brake lights there ahead of you on I-40? Give us an update of what you're seeing there around the El Reno area.
Yes, William, everything's slowing down. We're not seeing if there's been an accident or anything. We don't know if it's just traffic as a whole, because a lot of traffic was getting on about the country club exit there in El Reno. So we don't know if that's the case. But what we're wanting to do, William, is we're going to drop down 81 so we can kind of see what these secondary roads are like at the moment too, because it does look like we've got go ahead.
Mike, go ahead. Sorry, I think, we still got you. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, it does look like we've got a traffic snarl, and it looks like traffic is at a standstill. So in turn, we are going to go ahead and get off on 81, so we can kind of also gauge what the secondary roads are like, because we've been able to see what I-40 is like all morning here. So we're going to try to see what the state highways, if they're working on those at all, and then we'll be dropping into the Mustang area and then out by Will Rogers Airport. William?
Okay, Mike, really appreciate that update. What I want to do, I also want to go back out to the Weatherford area as well, and that's where we've got Derek Mashaney, and we've seen more in the way of accumulating snow out there. And again, there's Mike's live shot. Again, you can see I-40 basically really shutting down there, and that's going to be just east of the El Reno exit out there. I think Mike Russ was saying out there around Country Club Drive. But again, you can see major traffic snarls now developing. Derek, you're out there in the Weatherford area. Again, we're going to take a look at your shot coming up here momentarily. There's been more in the way of accumulating snow out in the Weatherford area as we went through really the overnight and this morning. Give us an update from out in west central Oklahoma.
Yes, William. So for a moment there, the snow did kind of die itself out, but it has picked up within the last minute or so. I will tell you right now, though, secondary ODOT units are out. As a matter of fact, if you can see my shot, just on the eastbound exit up here at Love's between Weatherford and Clinton, one of the units just got out to clear their plow off, and that just right there should tell you how much snow accumulation and ice accumulation that I-40 has, received, obviously since this morning. So, the conditions are still hazardous. They won't be any better anytime soon. ODOT is doing their best, it looks like, to make sure I-40 and all these secondary roads are clear. But right now, the main highways are the main concern at the moment. And so, as we do go out through as we do kind of move throughout the morning, you're going to see probably a lot of ODOT vehicles moving their way eastbound and westbound, to keep the roads clear, because the accumulation is pretty strong still. And so, it's one of the top priorities today is safety. And so, if you don't have to go out, don't go out. It's not necessary. Stay indoors, drink hot chocolate, whatever it is that you do. Just be safe today. That's the number one priority. Back to you, William.
Yeah, Derek, great advice right there. Absolutely, and great report there as well. So as we're kind of taking a look at Mesoscan here, kind of the overview, you can see across portions of west central Oklahoma, snow absolutely continues out there. Out in the Weatherford area, again, where Derek Mashaney is, snow continues out there. I think he's already been reporting 1 to maybe 1.5 inches, possibly some areas where there's been 2 inches of snow. Again, most of that kind of falling through the overnight period now this morning as well. The big change here in central Oklahoma, we want to keep highlighting that as well, is that the snow that we've been seeing again overnight and throughout the early morning, at least in west central Oklahoma, it is just now beginning to build into portions of central Oklahoma. Here in central Oklahoma, Edmond, downtown Oklahoma City, down here in Norman, we've just primarily seen at least freezing rain as we've gone through the overnight and the morning. Again, there have been issues because of that, especially on the bridges and road and overpasses rather. But now, again, especially over the next hour or so, again, the snow line will continue to build on in. And again, that opportunity for accumulating snow, 2 to possibly 3 inches of snow by the time it's all said and done, will be likely here in central Oklahoma. Let's go and zoom this in, and we'll kind of take a closer perspective of, again, what we're seeing, again, just right now in central Oklahoma. Again, we're kind of seeing the areas of purple. Again, that's just kind of been the freezing rain that, again, we've seen. And again, right now out there, it's actually fairly light freezing rain, maybe even just kind of some freezing drizzle at least down here in the Norman area. But again, this is the change now. Over the next hour, again, where you're seeing the area of white right here, again, this will continue to build in. And again, as that does continue to build in, again, what we're seeing out there in west central Oklahoma, and again, even out there around the El Reno area, you folks out there in El Reno, which again is right there. You're basically right there on the snow line. Again, what we're seeing here, this will also build into the Oklahoma City Metro. Again, 1 inch, 2, maybe even 3 inches of snow, again, by the time it's all said and done here in central Oklahoma. I want to bounce back out to Mike Russ. I know you guys just got off of I-40. I-40 was pretty much shut down there. Give us an update on I-40 once you guys got off, but also let us know about some of these side roads. I believe you guys are now on Highway 81. Mike, give us an update from your location there.
Yes, William. We are on Highway 81 right now. Highway 81 is a little worse condition than I-40 for sure, but it's still passable as long as you're cruising very slowly. So these roads out here are still going to be very slick, treacherous, and just like you were saying, that snow building into the west side of the metro, William, we have got huge, basically fat flakes out here falling right on Highway 81 right now at a pretty good rate. We've got quarter mile visibility with large flakes falling right now, William.
Yeah, no, Mike, absolutely. And a great report there. Getting a report here of 4 inches of snow down around the Elgin area. That's just north of Lawton, there basically in the Wichita Mountains. But again, 4 inches of snow. There's a report there, again, coming in from southwestern Oklahoma. Obviously, we'll continue to get reports in throughout the day. Mike, I mean, obviously we're just seeing the ruts in the road. One more question for you just real quick while we have your video up. But, obviously on the grassy surfaces, it's not looking as impressive. But, I mean, there's quite a bit of snow buildup on the roads, especially where we're seeing the ruts there. But just kind of gauging from the grassy surfaces, what would you see there? Again, you're just south of El Reno. Is that right around an inch of snow, or what would you kind of guesstimate that to be there from your vantage point?
On the grassy surfaces, William, we've got pretty much just a dusting, but I would not be surprised if we haven't received about an inch of snow out here, just due to the way the roads are right now, the fields. The grassy surfaces just look like a dusting
Mike,
now.
There just real quick,
but there's a lot
yeah,
of
Mike,
snow.
definitely appreciate that update. You and Jesse doing a great job. Derek Machaney out there as well. And again, we're going to continue to bounce in with you guys as well. Of course, right now, kind of the important information that we need is really coming in again from our team of trackers again out there in the field. So we'll continue to check in with them coming up here over the next few minutes as well. What I want to do, I want to take another look at road conditions, and this is important, and this is as being reported here by the Oklahoma Highway Patrol. And again, where you're seeing the areas of yellow, there could be some slick spots, but where you're seeing the areas of red, and notice that specifically right here in central Oklahoma, that is specifically out across portions of west central Oklahoma, roadways are now being reported as slick and hazardous. And so essentially what that means is if you don't have to get on the roads, if it's not an emergency, if you don't just absolutely have to go to work, travel is not recommended. Again, in those areas of red that you're seeing right there. Again, that does include most of I-40 all the way down into portions of southwestern Oklahoma. And again, it does include the entire Oklahoma City metro. Again, right now in the metro, haven't seen much in the way of accumulating snow, except for the western sides of the metro. But again, that is changing, and that is going to be changing fairly quickly. In fact, even here in Norman, now getting reports of snow here in Norman as well. So the snow line is now slowly but surely over the next hour, hour and a half or so, will be building into central Oklahoma, and that's when we will continue to see the travel impacts developing here in central Oklahoma on top of what we've already seen with the glazing on the bridges and overpasses again here in central Oklahoma. But even at our studios here in downtown Norman, I just took a look, and we do now have snow in progress here as well. Let's go back out to west central Oklahoma, out around the Weatherford area. And Derek, it looks like you've changed locations. Give us an update from the Weatherford area, and also let us know how much snow have you seen out there?
Yes, William. So I am right out of Upland right now on I-40 heading westbound. I wanted to say I agree with Mike. Probably vegetation-wise, probably a dusting. I mean, I could say the highway is definitely more than probably an inch. But they have been able to kind of scrape up a little bit, have been able to kind of keep up a little bit. But, if we still continue having the snowfall that we are having, obviously it is going to accumulate a little faster. But right now, everything, seems to be right at about 40 miles per hour on I-40. So it is moving a little bit quicker. That still doesn't mean that there's not, any freezing accumulation that has accumulated on the roads. Black ice, whatever the case may be, especially on bridges, overpasses, be careful traveling. But I want to say probably about a dusting right now on the grass, and at least a half inch to an inch, if not more, on the roadways, which obviously have been, scraped out by ODOT. But again, the accumulation let's follow with the amount of snow we do have falling right now to continue to grow. So thank you, William.
Okay, Derek, really appreciate that update. I also want to quickly take a look here at our North Norman cam. Again, like I mentioned, the snow, and this is kind of a rough shot only for the fact you can obviously see the freezing rain build up there on the camera. But if you look carefully, there's now snow, and this is basically at Flood Street and I-35 here in Norman. That's the York plant you're kind of seeing there in the distance. And again, the reason why the picture looks weird, that's actually a glaze of ice buildup, again, from some of the freezing rain we saw overnight. But again, you can see it is now snowing, and there is already on some of the grassy surfaces here in Norman. There's beginning to at least become a little bit of snow accumulation. Again, right now just a dusting, but again, we're now starting to get some snow in progress here in Norman. Just to bounce around with our live cam, rather, just real quick here, and then we'll get back to the storm trackers. Downtown Oklahoma City, again, essentially the same thing. There's ice buildup on the camera. It's hard to see, but again, just looking at the grassy surfaces there, really no accumulation yet. Again, as the snow essentially just now beginning to build on in here to central Oklahoma. What I want to do, let's go back to Mike and Jesse. So they're now south of El Reno. They got off of I-40, and the main reason they got off of I-40 is because there was essentially a traffic snarl. The traffic had stopped there, and so I believe you guys are still on Highway 81. Mike, tell us where you are now, and give us an update on the roads there as well. I believe you're in northern Grady County.
Yes, William. We are on Highway 81 still. We've had to pull off and so we can get a little splash of gas here. But we're going to be in the Union City area. Now, William, this parking lot, as soon as the feed catches up here, you'll see the grassy area, the parking lot. Union City definitely has way more snow than El Reno does. And like I said earlier, that just goes to show you kind of what we've been dealing with today, where it's very localized at times, heavy snowfall, and kind of like a thunderstorm. It's kind of sporadic, hit and miss. Everyone's kind of getting it, but it's some areas are definitely getting inundated with snow more than others. Because here in Union City, what we're seeing here, William, is probably a good inch and a half at least. Excuse me, on the grassy areas, and even in the parking lot here, it just kind of can't melt off in the parking lot. Now it's just this slushy, like this parking lot is just a slushy mess. Not really that slick in the parking lot. There's a lot of water underneath that snow, which is good in some aspects, bad in others. But again, right now, if you take it slow, and I mean very slow, guys, we've been doing anywhere between 20 to 40 miles an hour, depending on the conditions, and we're making it out here just fine. But again, you want to take it extra slow today. Leave plenty of room in between you and the person in front of you, and just extremely cautious today. Today's one of those days that you've got to be a defensive driver, just in case, somebody starts coming into your lane. You've got to be able to react, have the time to react, and you can't do that by driving too fast on these conditions, William.
No, Mike, that's absolutely great advice. And again, central Oklahoma, west central Oklahoma, roads are being reported as slick and hazardous. And again, those are great shots from what we're seeing again from our team of trackers, that again, if you don't have to get out on the roads, you don't want to. And again, even here in central Oklahoma, talking about, downtown Oklahoma City, Edmond, Norman, even though the roads look a little bit different, they're not really snow covered. There's really not a lot of snow on the ground, if any, so far here in central Oklahoma. Again, that will be changing. Now, the thing here in central Oklahoma, you do have to keep in mind is the fact that we saw the freezing rain throughout most of the night, throughout at least the first part of the morning now, and a lot of the bridges, a lot of the overpasses, they are icy. There is a glaze on them, and again, once we start getting some snow on top of that as well, the travel issues are only going to continue to essentially go downhill, again, really throughout the day and as we get into the afternoon as well. What I want to do, I want to bounce out to the Weatherford area. That's where we have Derek Mashaney. We're looking at his video there on the lower side of the screen, the lower box there. there. Derek, there's been more snow out in Weatherford, maybe up to 2 inches from what we're seeing here. Give us an update out there in west central Oklahoma.
Yes, William. I wouldn't be surprised if we have received 2 inches so far. The amount of snow that has fallen has pretty well accumulated. I am actually on 183 heading southbound towards Cordell right now. And they've done a pretty good job of keeping 183 pretty clear of really any snow. It's still there, but they have packed it down with plenty of sand and dirt to kind of keep the traction on the highway at bay. But I mean, right now, as I can see, vegetation and grass, lower levels, everything seems to be still at dusk. As to some parts, there are heavier amounts of snow than others. But then again, it doesn't really matter. You're still driving on dangerous roadways. And so one thing I will say is just be careful if you are traveling. I can't say that enough today, as it creates dangers for you and for the people around you. Just be aware of your surroundings and be aware of what's going on. But we're going to make our way out towards the south part of Oklahoma just a little bit to kind of see if we can bring conditions out that direction. At a different point of view. Back to you, William.
Okay, Derek, really appreciate that update. Great job there as well. What I want to do, let's go and kind of talk about the forecast going forward as well. Obviously, we're talking about right now what's happening there with our team of trackers, but I also want to talk about the forecast going forward throughout the day. Obviously, yes, snow is in the forecast, but let's go and talk about what we can expect as far as snow accumulations go and things like that. I want to show this map as well quickly. Again, road conditions. We've kind of shown this a lot, but I really just want to keep underscoring this. West central Oklahoma, central Oklahoma, where you are seeing the red, slick and hazardous, travel is not recommended. That is the Oklahoma City Metro, all of the Oklahoma City Metro. That is most of west central Oklahoma. Talk about Hinton all the way out through the Weatherford area, El Reno, locations like that, even as far south as the Chickasha area. There is snow on the ground. Again, you're primarily seeing that there from our tracker feeds coming in. If it's not an emergency, you don't just have to get out and go to work. Again, if you're in the red, travel is not recommended. Don't risk your safety. Don't risk your car, your vehicle, your truck, whatever it is, again, out on the roads. And again, heaven forbid something happens. You're in some kind of a traffic snarl. Let's go and also take a look here at the forecast maps for today. We'll just kind of quickly go through these as well. And again, just to kind of show you what to expect again as we go through the day today. Again, as far as the winter weather impacts go, again, yes, bridges and overpasses. We're essentially already seeing that here in central Oklahoma specifically, again, because of the freezing rain we saw overnight. Again, that's in the purple. It's in the critical category. Bridges and overpasses already going downhill. There will be road issues, again, even here in central Oklahoma, similar to what we're already seeing out there across portions of west central Oklahoma. The snow will continue to build in as we go through the day. It will move in from western Oklahoma. And in fact, we're already starting to see that here at mid-morning. Temperatures essentially stalled. They don't move much. And then as we get into tonight, we'll actually see some liquid rain over in eastern Oklahoma. Again, as that storm system continues to pull away. Better weather tomorrow. The sun returns and will begin to melt off some of this snow. So there is an opportunity. In fact, we've already seen that primarily overnight with the freezing rain we've seen, of a very light glazing here in central Oklahoma. In fact, the Weather Service reporting right around 0.18, almost 0.2 of an inch of glaze here in central Oklahoma. That's really not very significant. You really have to get up closer to a half an inch of glaze, 0.5. So again, this is very light icing, a very light glaze, nowhere near any, to the level rather, of causing any type of power issues. Of course, with glazing, that's the primary thing other than the bridges and overpasses you think of, and we're nowhere near at that level. As far as snowfall projections go here, and what I want to do, let's actually go and take this map full just real quickly. That way you can kind of take a look at your hometown and or your geographical area around the state, kind of see what we're looking at here. But really for a large portion of Oklahoma, anywhere from 2 to 3 inches, again, could be quite common. That does include central Oklahoma. And again, we kind of have that bullseye of 4 to 6 in west central Oklahoma. By the way, just north of Lawton and Elgin, we've already gotten a report of 4 inches of snow. Elgin being right about there off of I-44, again, just north of Lawton. So again, already 4 inches being reported there. Other locations, I think in west central Oklahoma, will have some 4 to 6. And again, depending on exactly how things pan out, anywhere from 1 to 3, the way it looks right now in central Oklahoma. But I think the 2 to 3 inch amounts will be fairly common, especially on the western sides and the central portions of central Oklahoma. So again, yes, the snowstorm is absolutely building in again as we really today. So here's what I want to do. I want to check back in with our team of trackers. That's essentially where it's at right now. Again, as we continue to really get information from them in the field and again, bring it back into you. Again, you can also see here on Mesoscan, just want to keep highlighting this, that again, the snow line basically kind of working its way in and now getting closer and closer here into portions of central Oklahoma. Snow already being reported down here in the Norman area. Fairly light snow right now, but again, the snow will continue to increase again as we go through the late morning and into the early afternoon. So let's go and check back in. I believe we've still got Mike Russ on the live line, and he's in the Union City area. And some of the snowfall amounts, as he was just mentioning maybe 5 to 10 minutes ago, have significantly picked up. And in fact, we maybe even have right around 2 inches of snow already on the ground. That's the western sides of the Oklahoma City metro there. Mike, are you still on the live line with us? And we may have lost Mike just temporarily. We're still looking at his video there. His video is on the top right, left-hand side of the screen, rather. While we're waiting on Mike to get back on the live line, let's also check in quickly with Derek Mashaney. We just talked to him a few minutes ago. He's out in the Weatherford area, and there has been more snow out in the Weatherford area, more in the way of accumulating snow, only because it started there earlier. And so, Derek, and you may be south of Weatherford. I think you said you were maybe dipping into portions of southwestern Oklahoma, possibly, to see what's going on there. But give us an update. Tell us where you are now. And again, let us know what the travel conditions are like out there.
Yes, William. I am on Highway 183 heading south of Clinton, Oklahoma, towards Cordell, which would put me southwest Oklahoma. I'm kind of wanting to get out there to see what the conditions are in that particular spot. Because I will say 183 there's a lot of slush on it. We're still below freezing, and that could still create a big headache due to the fact that slush is freezing. I have hit a few slick spots. Right now, I'm traveling about 40 miles per hour, a 65 mile per hour zone. So that should kind of say that's significant. If you can't go any faster, don't go any faster. Just trust you. Heading south, have deteriorated on 183, but ODOT is doing the best that they can. I have seen them heading north, so they are making the round. And right now, as it looks, 183 technically safe to drive one to an extent. I mean, still be aware of what's in front of you and what's on the road. But there is one particular spot you can drive on. Itself in 183. And so right now, the snow is actually picking up a little bit more. I probably got a mile and a half visibility in front of me. So it's not too terrible, but still that visibility deadline there is a little bit, could be dangerous, as we kind of move towards the morning. But right now, as it looks, the conditions are still about the same. I have noticed a little bit more heavier snowfall the more south that I go. So the snow is falling a little bit more rapidly here in southwest Oklahoma, just north of Cordell. So once I do have some new information or anything develops, William, I'll bring it back to you.
Okay, Derek, yeah, really appreciate that update. And so great job. And like I said, we'll also be talking with Mike Russ coming up momentarily as well. Again, they're also on the far western sides of the Oklahoma City metro. And I think I just heard Mike there. I think you're back. And so, Mike, give us an update because, again, I believe you're now in the Union City area. Again, kind of the southwestern sides of the Oklahoma City metro, kind of far extended area of the Oklahoma City metro. But again, the snowfall amounts where you are have kind of significantly increased. And it looks like even from some of your video, we might have about 2 inches of snow on the ground. And the only reason why we're kind of highlighting that is because, well, what we're seeing there, again, this is on the far western sides of the metro, that area of snow, again, is eventually here over the next hour to hour and a half to 2 hours. The snow intensities in central Oklahoma will continue to pick up. And that's Mike's video. That's the one we're talking about right there. But Mike, give us an update from out there around the Union City area.
Yes, William. Again, I can tell you the roads are very slick out here. But we just got our gas. We're back on the road now. What you're going to be seeing here now is going to be Highway 81 at Union City. We're about to make our turn on the 152 and head into Mustang and towards the airport. And of course, the treacherous 152-240 interchange down there. That's always a problem area just due to the elevated kind of curved bridge that they've got down there. So we're trekking back into the metro here. But William, I can tell you, yes, like you were saying about Union City here getting a little bit more snow. We definitely, it looks like we could probably have a good at least inch and a half, maybe 2.5 inches of snow down here at Union City right now. And that's even here on the bar ditches, in the grassy areas, we've got accumulated snow. Now, the snow rate hasn't come down, but the snowflake size has come down here in the past few minutes. But again, it's still a very heavy snow that's still coming down. Just our visibility has gotten a little bit better due to the size of the snow kind of coming down. But again, very slick, very dangerous out here. If you don't have to be out, don't be out. This is not anything that you just want to kind of go cruise around in. This is not your Sunday drive weather. This is definitely stay home, drink your hot cocoa, your coffee, plug in the Disney movies. I know a lot of schools in the area are out today due to the weather impacts here. Definitely just stay home, spend more time with your family. That's the best advice I can give is stay off these roads. It's definitely not worth it. And in fact, as we turn on 152, this road looks horrible. So again, this is definitely not what you want to be driving on if you're not experienced in it. Again, this is very dangerous situations. You don't want to be driving on it. You don't want to put yourself or anybody else at risk. So just, if you can, stay home today. I know those of you that do have to work today didn't get that opportunity. I feel your pain, and you've got to take it slow today. Definitely take it slow. Back to you, William.
Yeah, Mike, great reporting there, great video coming in as well. I want to kind of stick with it here just a little bit as well. And again, the main reason for that is, well, number one, kind of what we're seeing there on the western sides of the Oklahoma City metro. A lot of this is going to overtake the rest of the metro, especially the kind of the central corridor, the I-35 corridor, if you will, of the Oklahoma City metro. Again, as we go through the day, there's the real possibility there's going to be kind of a cutoff line of where we kind of see the snow end kind of on the eastern sides of the Oklahoma City metro. But what we're seeing where you are, and again, this is in Union City. Obviously, we were looking at Weatherford earlier in the morning with Derek Mashaney, who we'll check back in with momentarily. But this is not Weatherford. This is now Union City. And again, this is the far western sides of the Oklahoma City metro. And again, you can see the roadways, again, with the freezing rain we saw overnight, kind of putting that at least very thin glaze on some of the roads and the bridges and the overpasses. That snow is really sticking on the top side of that. And this is going to cause some big travel issues, again, as we go through the day. So, I mean, the very latest, and this is going to be the important thing, at least over the next 1 to 2 hours that we're tracking, is the snow line, exactly where the snow line is, and again, exactly how far to the east it gets. But I think to the I-35 corridor, which is kind of the interior portion of central Oklahoma, I think the opportunity for at least some locally heavy snow will be there by late morning and again into the early afternoon as well. And some of these pictures we're seeing, again, from Union City, the western sides of the Oklahoma City metro, I think will be a little more common. And again, we're under a winter storm warning. Conditions are favorable throughout the day today, again, to see some locally heavy snow. And again, we're already seeing that on the western sides of the metro. And again, what we're seeing out in west central Oklahoma there as well. Speaking of west central Oklahoma, let's do this here. And we're going to check right back in with Mike, but I want to go back out to Derek Mashani. Derek, I don't think you're anymore. I believe you've kind of dropped a little bit further to the south, you said now. Give us an update. Tell us where you are now. And again, for our friends out in western Oklahoma, give us an update from out there as well.
Yes, William. I'm still on 183 heading south towards Cordell. I will say I'm in agreement with Mike. The snowfall is still the same, but the flakes herself has actually gotten a lot smaller. You know, the roads definitely have deteriorated the farther south I've gotten, and I think a lot of that has to do they haven't been touched. In just a minute, just because, ODOT has a lot of roads to cover, so they can't be, everywhere right now. They do have multiple crews out that are assisting with the road conditions. But if you can see my screen, you can see that the roads up here, they're covered in snow. As a matter of fact, the left lane, it's covered. It's actually unsafe to drive on right now. I did try and kind of test it out a little bit. Did slide a little bit. So I do know that there is ice underneath, underneath the roads, underneath the snow, which are making the conditions a lot more dangerous for those driving because you can't see the ice unless it's a lot clearer. But right now, the more south I get, the harder it is to see, the more snow that there is. And the roads are definitely a lot more dangerous kind of coming into it. But that doesn't take away from if you're traveling on I-40 or any of the frontage roads, 66, wherever you are at, be careful. Even your city roads, those are going to be packed with snow as well, only because it takes the city a little bit longer to get to every road within your town. So if you're definitely southwest Oklahoma, northwest Oklahoma, on the way back towards the metro, Hinton, El Reno, Yukon, farther south, Mustang, Union City, be careful driving. The road conditions are definitely dangerous. And I'm sure Mike can verify that, but people are taking it fairly slow. I'm running about 40 miles per hour right now. So that kind of tells you right there how cautious I'm being just driving on these roads. Back to you, William.
Yeah, Derek, really appreciate that update. Good report there as well. I want to go back, though, to Mike Russ. And again, just some of the video coming in there still around the Union City area. And again, Mike, I can tell you there's more in the way of moderate snow. We're going to kind of take a look at this coming back in to the Union City area. I'm going to switch the radar source around. The radar we're looking at now kind of tells us the precipitation type. But let's just kind of go back over to Mesoscan XR. This is our extreme resolution radar. And again, where you're seeing some of the oranges showing up there. Again, those are essentially coming back into the Union City area. So there's more in the way of moderate snow coming back in there. And again, eventually a lot of this moderate snow, there's Union City right there. This is where Mike Russ is. That's the video coming in. He's on Highway 81 here. He's going to be coming back over here to the southwestern sides of the Oklahoma City metro. Again, as the snow continues to build in there. But Mike, you've got more moderate snow coming on in. Give us another update there from around the Union City area.
Yes, William. We're going to be east of Union City now on 152, heading towards Mustang. Again, this road is in pretty bad shape. This is not a road that I feel too comfortable on right now. And there's a lot of truck traffic, stuff like that. But this road looks like it has not been treated yet, William. Or if it was a while ago. But what I can tell you out here, other than the dangerous roads, I know we sound like a broken record talking about these dangerous road conditions out here, but William, you're going to be seeing in our shot here, we just just drove into a heavy snow shower here where, I mean, these snowflakes look like they're $half in size. These are absolutely huge, gorgeous snowflakes, William. But again, that's where the snowfall rate is coming up so high. And here where we're at, in fact, we just passed a house on the right side here that had a very well-maintained front yard, and it definitely looked like there was probably 2 inches of snow stacked up on their front yard. So I'm going to say we're probably looking at about anywhere between 1 inch to 2 inches here already on the southwest side of the metro, William.
Yeah, and those flakes look big, Mike. I mean, just looking from your video there, I mean, those are big flakes. And again, like we're seeing here on Mesoscan XR, there's a band right now of moderate to moderately heavy snow moving basically up the Highway 81 corridor, eventually back up towards El Reno. And again, eventually what we're seeing here, this will come on through, again, the Oklahoma City Metro as well. But again, this is, fairly, by Oklahoma standards, yes, we do get winter weather. We do get snowstorms. But again, I mean, we're especially on the roadways here seeing quite a bit of the accumulating snow. And I think this picture of what you're seeing there with Mike Russ will be a little more common for parts, especially the far western sides and really the I-35 corridor of central Oklahoma, looking at 2 to maybe 3 inches of snow there. And I think that will be fairly common by the time it's all said and done. Even deeper into portions of central Oklahoma, again, as a snow band you're seeing right here continues to build in as we go through the late morning and into the early afternoon. And, the one thing just to keep emphasizing with this is the fact that there will be travel impacts. We're already seeing travel impacts in central Oklahoma, in west central Oklahoma, but again, as right now, at least in central Oklahoma, we've primarily just seen the freezing rain. Once we also get some of this snow on top of it, again, the travel conditions are only going to deteriorate. And the reason why I keep mentioning that and I keep highlighting that, again, is the fact if you don't have to get out and about today, you don't have to go to work, it's not an emergency, again, it's better just to stay in, stay off the roads. And of course, the other thing to keep in mind, you're keeping yourself safe, you're keeping your family safe, and you're keeping your vehicle, your car, your truck, whatever it is, your SUV, you're keeping it safe as well. Because again, as we've gone through the morning, even as we went through yesterday, unfortunately, we saw multiple accidents around Oklahoma City. Again, not only are you putting yourself at risk, but again, your vehicle also, is going to be impacted by a traffic snarl, for lack of a better word. Let's go and show the travel map here again, just kind of what it's looking like around Oklahoma. And as I go and punch that up here on the weather computer here, again, still for central Oklahoma, for west central Oklahoma, again, where you're seeing the red, that's slick and hazardous. And again, that's where travel is absolutely not recommended at all. That does include I-40 out there into west central Oklahoma. It does include all of the Oklahoma City Metro. So in the red, travel is not recommended at all. Even in the yellow, there are slick spots. We'll be updating this map fairly quickly here as soon as we get new information in, because I can tell you we had a report of 4 inches of snow in Elgin, which is just north of Lawton, and I would assume to believe that the slick and hazardous is probably now a little bit closer down into the Lawton area as well, with, again, reports of at least 4 inches of snow just north of Lawton there around the Elgin area. So, of course, we'll continue to track that as well. Let's do this here. I want to go back out into west central Oklahoma. Again, we're just kind of bouncing around with our storm trackers. And again, the main reason why, obviously, they're telling us what's going on out in the field. But Derek Mashaney, who is out around the Cordell area, that's just south of I-40, just south of Weatherford. We're looking at his video there on the bottom left-hand side of the screen. Derek, give us an update from out there in Cordell. Let us know what you're seeing as far as snow goes. Obviously, up around the Weatherford area, 1.5 inches, 2 inches already. But now as you're getting a little bit further to the south, from your video, and I may be wrong, but from your video, it looks like the snowfall accumulations may be a little bit lighter. Is that right? Give us an update on that.
Yes, William. So the snowfall is actually, it's still about the same, but they're not as big as what they were. I want to say probably around penny to dime size snowflakes, but the roads are they're still bad. The more south I get, and I'm just south of Cordell right now on 183, but the more south I get, the little bit more accumulation that I've seen. I do know coming into Cordell, I want to say there's probably around 1 inch to 1.5 inches of snow. But right now, being south of Cordell, up towards Hobart and Rocky, probably a good dusting on the sidewalks in the grass, and probably some spots about an inch or so, if not more, of accumulating snow that has accumulated. Right now, 183 does seem to be fairly clear, but it's still dangerous to drive on. There's a lot of slush. There's still a lot of snow. Some spots are still frozen. So that still makes, for dangerous conditions when driving. But I have been able to pick up speed just a little bit within my comfort zone. And so, that tells you a little bit. Some places are a little bit more dangerous than others. I've had places where I've had to slow down to, 10 to 20 miles per hour just to get through those. But the snow it's still pretty compacting out here, especially the farther south I get. So we are making our way south, and definitely, if I have any new updates come in, I'll definitely bring it to you back to you, William.
Derek, really appreciate that update. And again, good job and a great job staying safe out there as well. Of course, our trackers, you see what they're driving through. And again, a lot of times they're trying to kind of take some of the off-roads to kind of show you what it is like for some of the roads that have not necessarily been treated by ODOT or by the city crews. And again, that's essentially what we're seeing out there. So again, great job to them, obviously being out in the cold elements, number one, but also again, staying safe and taking their time, really driving down some of those roads. And again, we're really seeing it as well there with Mike Russ. Again, the top video there on the left-hand side of your screen. I just want to keep underscoring, again, that's on the western sides of the Oklahoma City Metro there. That's going to be just north of the Union City area. And again, the accumulating snow, it just continues to pick up. And I see them kind of changing their shot a little bit. Mike, let me jump back into you here because, again, just on the grassy surfaces there, I'm just kind of eyeballing it here from the studio, but it looks like maybe 2 to 3 inches of snow already, again, out there around the Union City area. Would you agree with that?
Yes, William. I'd say there's at least a good 2 inches that has fallen in this area. Again, though, like I said earlier, it's like showers out here because I turned the camera to show how deep the snow was in that area, and just a quarter mile down the road, we can actually see the grass again. So this is very much so. Honestly, it's very pretty out here. It is very beautiful to look at. But definitely, you want to do that from the comfort of your home. Kind of enjoy the shots that we're bringing you. That's part of the reason why I kind of turn the camera, because the roads are bad. We know that. I kind of wanted to give a little bit of a different angle, different view here. But it reminds me of a Norman Rockwell painting out here, William, with the snow. The cedar trees are kind of weighted down with the ice and the snow sticking to the bigger trees, the oaks and stuff like that. Just really, it's a very beautiful, calm, surreal kind of feeling out here, other than the roadways. These roadways are very dangerous, very slick. Travel is not suggested at all. You definitely want to try to stay at home, be with your family, your loved ones, drink that hot cocoa, plug in those Disney movies, enjoy your day off if you happen to have the day off. I know there's been a lot of closings around the state for different organizations, different government agencies, stuff like that. So again, just enjoy your day, taking these views that we're trying to bring you here, and soak in this information. And please heed our warning. Don't be out on these roads if you don't have to.
Yeah, Mike, and again, that's great advice. I just quickly punched up also our North Norman cam, and I've just kind of been tracking this over the last 15 to 20 minutes as the snow continues to build in now here to the Oklahoma City Metro. This is the far western sides of the Metro there around Union City, but where I'm going with this is I've kind of been watching the roadway. This is Flood Street, North Norman. I-35 would be right back up in here. This is the York plant. For those of you familiar with that area, the Cleveland County Jail, by the way, would be right back over in there. And so we're actually starting to see, you see that right there, some of the snow ruts now developing there again on Flood Street, North Norman. And again, you can also kind of see there on some of the dirt, there's some construction going on right here. So it's just kind of some clay dirt right there. You can also see the snow building up there as well. So it's light snow right now, but snow is building into central Oklahoma, even in the Norman area, nowhere near, again, what we're seeing on the western sides or west central Oklahoma. But again, snow is now in progress. By the way, this is also ice. Again, from the freezing rain we saw overnight. Those are actually, that's icing there on the camera bulb there on that North Norman camera. But let's do this. We're going to, again, talk with our team of trackers again coming up momentarily. I want to talk about the forecast, though, going forward here as well. And this is also the other kind of key piece of really, you know, what we're talking about today. And again, it does have the opportunity to really deal with snow and winter remix as we go through the day. And again, I just want to keep kind of highlighting this, really highlighting the travel impacts. Again, here in Oklahoma, a lot of times we think that, well, we can just get out and drive, especially if we have a truck, we have an SUV. You know, some folks, you know, kind of enjoy getting out in the snow, so to speak. Today's not the day to do it. We've already seen freezing rain. There's already issues with the bridges and the overpasses. And now, by the way, we have snow building in as well. So really, as we go through the day today, this is for central Oklahoma specifically. The bridges, we're going to put those in the critical category. If you happen to drive over a bridge, if you're out and about today, bridges and overpasses, use extreme caution on those. Roads, we'll put those in the moderate. Again, that's kind of what we're already seeing there on the far western sides of the metro. As far as any power bumps, wind chills, we'll keep those low. The winds are actually very light out there, so luckily there's not much of a wind chill factor out there today. But again, there's the opportunity for snow to continue to build in western into central Oklahoma, again, as we go through the day today. As we get into tonight, though, it turns back into rain, liquid rain over in far eastern Oklahoma as the storm system basically pulls away from Oklahoma. And then as we get into tomorrow, the sun returns, southerly winds actually return. And for the parts of the state that don't have snow on the ground, it'll be a little bit milder. The locations that do see snow today, the temperatures will be held down some tomorrow. There is an opportunity. This is primarily what we've already seen with the freezing rain overnight, again, with a very light glaze in central Oklahoma. And again, we've essentially seen that. And there's the opportunity for accumulating snow here in central Oklahoma. Really what we're seeing there, again, with Mike Russ's video, 2 to 3 inches does look quite possible. In fact, I want to go and pop that up full screen just so, again, you can kind of find your geographical area here. But again, the opportunity for accumulating snow, 2 to 3 in central Oklahoma. And again, we've already gotten a report north of Lawton of 4 inches down in the Elgin area. And I still think there's going to be kind of this bullseye in far west central Oklahoma, possibly 4 to 6. And again, just north of Lawton, we've already had a report of 4 inches around the Elgin area. But 1 to 2 to 3, I think 2 to 3 fairly common. Again, here in central Oklahoma, you get outside of that, maybe a dusting in portions of far east central Oklahoma. But the snow line, the snow grading, if you will, it's going to cut off fairly quickly there. So let's do this. I just want to kind of keep bouncing. back out to Derek Mashaney as well. But Mike, you're on the western sides of the metro, and we're still looking at your video there around the Union City area. But tell us again where you guys are. You may be north of Union City now, but go and give us a live update.
Yes, William, we're going to be in the Mustang area. In fact, we've got a snowplow that's going to be passing us here. But again, the roads are very snow-packed out here. They are very slick. But William, I can tell you, I've got to have a little bit of a sense of humor here. But the snowflakes are so big, it looks like Jack Frost is building snowballs to throw at us down here in the Mustang area. So the accumulation rate is kind of be going up here in the Oklahoma City metro area. These flakes, I mean, at times, William, we've seen like golf ball sized snowflakes. And I can't even make that up. These are huge snowflakes out here at times. And so that's just really going to stack up that accumulation really quick. This is just a big, wet, heavy snow event here on the western sides of the metro at this moment. But again, these roads are very, very slick. I cannot stress that enough. And actually, as we're in Mustang here, Mustang usually is a pretty kind of packed city at this time of day. And there's just not much traffic here. This is 152. This is where all the businesses are in Mustang here, or a majority of them. It's kind of their main street here. And William, we're just not seeing that much traffic whatsoever out here. So a lot of people are staying home, it looks like, and that is a great thing. Please, if you don't have to be out, don't be out. This is a very, you could ruin your day very quickly in this kind of weather. So again, William, just I guess what I'm trying to say to everybody is be careful. Thank you for heeding the warning, staying inside, not being out in this. But if you do have to be, please take your time, leave plenty of space. It only takes one mistake on this ice and snow to ruin your entire day.
Yeah, no, that's a great advice there, Mike. Really appreciate that update, and great job. And again, great job, obviously, driving safe, taking your time. And again, just like I was saying earlier, of course, our storm trackers, again, kind of putting themselves at risk as well, especially trying to take some of these off-beaten roads to show you what the real deal travel conditions are like out there. So again, basically going from the Mustang area, again, where Mike and Jesse are, our senior team of storm trackers there. I want to also go out to Derek Mashaney. So he's in west central Oklahoma. He's south of Weatherford now, I still believe, down around the Cordell area. And again, we've seen snow out there really for most of the night. But it's still, I mean, to me, just eyeballing it here from their video, I still think we've seen heavier snow now on the western sides of the metro between Grady County, really from just north of Chickasha up to about I-40, northern Grady County and southern Canadian County. That's the way it looks to me. But Derek, we're also looking at your video there around the Cordell area. Give us an update there from your vantage point as well.
Yes, William. I am on Highway 55, just east of Rocky. And it is technically a county road, but you can kind of see what these roads are looking like. They haven't been touched that I can tell today that much. So they do have a little bit more accumulating snow and a little bit more accumulating ice than what 183 has. But, the snowfall has really deteriorated. I mean, as far as it's come down from where it was in the last 10 minutes. It's still coming down rapid, but the flakes are not as big as what they were before. But, still, that's still going to create, havoc for the roads as it does continue to come down. So, I mean, if you are traveling, especially southwest Oklahoma, northwest Oklahoma, I-40, county roads, city roads, be careful. Because you're not going to be able to see what's underneath that ice, and that's where things get real dangerous, especially if traffic is a little bit heavier than normal, because people don't really realize and exercise a precaution like they really should. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, sliding a little bit. But that's just one thing that you have to be careful with today. But right now, 183 here in Rocky is pretty clear because ODOT has done a pretty good job at keeping it cleared out here. But I want that at least an inch of accumulated snow. Back to you, William.
Okay, Derek, really appreciate that update. And again, great job, again, bringing us, again, really video, again, out there across portions of west central Oklahoma as well. Again, this is kind of a tale of what's going on in western Oklahoma, southwestern Oklahoma, where we've seen snow really for most of the really overnight period. And then again, here in central Oklahoma, where, I mean, it's been really freezing rain as we've gone through the overnight period. And we're just now beginning to transition over to snow, at least in the main portions of the Oklahoma City metro. Now, again, where we're seeing Mike Russ's video there on the top hand side of the screen. Again, that's out there around the Mustang area, and it's been snowing out there now for several hours. And again, the accumulating snow continues to build up. And again, just eyeballing it, again, just looking at it from Mike's video, I still want to say it looks like now we're probably pushing 3 inches of snow again out there in the Mustang area. There's a real opportunity, again, as we go through the late morning into the afternoon, that again, some of those heavier snow bands will also build into central Oklahoma, deeper into central Oklahoma, closer to that I-35 corridor, talking about Edmond, downtown Oklahoma City, and then also down here around the Norman area as well. We have transitioned to snow in central Oklahoma, closer to the I-35 corridor. Again, here in Norman, we continue to get fairly light snow, but there have been a few snow ruts, and I want to kind of underscore that. Let me go and switch over to our North Norman cam. Let me go and punch this up, and again, this is at Flood Street and I-35, and I've just kind of continued to monitor this as we've gone through about the last 45 minutes or so, and this is Flood Street. I-35 would be just north on the left-hand side here. This is also the York plant, which you're kind of seeing in the distance, just to kind of set you up. There's the York plant. This is Flood Street in Norman. I-35 would be right back up in here. But again, 45 minutes ago, where we essentially had no snow on the ground, you can see there is a little bit of snow, a little bit of a dusting there. And then also on Flood Street, you can see a few ruts of snow beginning to show up as well. But again, right now it's fairly light snow, what we're seeing along the I-35 corridor in central Oklahoma. But again, you get out there around the Mustang area, you get out there around the Yukon area, you get out there around the El Reno area, the Union City area, and it's a completely different story. And again, that's what we're seeing there with Mike Russ. The other tale here in central Oklahoma, it's been the ice overnight. See that? That's an ice crystal right there. That's basically on the camera lens. And so that's why we're having just a little bit of trouble there, kind of seeing through our North Norman camera. But again, we continue to kind of watch this snow line, again, continue to build in from the west and from the southwest, again, right on in here to portions of central Oklahoma. So let's go back. And again, this is essentially what it's all about on days like today. I kind of keep saying that over and over, but it's really true. It's what our trackers are seeing. I mean, I can tell you what the radar looks like. We can bounce around to different live cams, but our trackers are out in the mix. And again, Mike and Jesse, our senior storm trackers, they're out, I believe, still around the Mustang area. We'll go and take a look at their video. But Mike, you're on the live line. Give us an update. Tell us what's going on out there on the far western sides of the metro.
Yes, William. We're going to be on Highway 152 here in Mustang, Oklahoma right now. So the western sides of the metro here. And William, I can tell you the roads are slick. In fact, when we came up to the stop sign or stoplight back there at Lowe's Drive, when we stopped, the truck actually came to a complete stop. And due to just the crown on the road, our big, heavy chase truck here, Fast Track 1, actually started sliding to the right towards the curb after it was already stopped. So that'll tell you these roads are very, very slick, actually. So we've got to be very careful if you're out there driving or anything like that. So again, don't be out on these roads if you don't have to. The thing that concerns me out here, like in the Mustang area and through Oklahoma City, is I'm seeing a lot of icicles hanging off of street signs and stuff like that, mailboxes, and that'll tell you that there is going to be ice underneath that snow. Now, with snow, you do get a little better traction than just pure ice. But again, with the ice underneath the snow, it almost negates the traction you get from the snow. So you definitely want to take it slow. Be very careful. Leave plenty of space between you and the person in front of you. Or better yet, just stay home. don't be out on these roads unless you absolutely have to. Again, like I said just a little bit ago, if it only takes one mistake to ruin your day out here, and really it can ruin multiple days, and we don't want anybody to have that kind of situation. We want everybody to be home, be safe. These are the situations that this is why we're out, is so that you don't have to get out and see it for yourself. You can stay at home, watch us on your Roku, your Apple TV, your Amazon TV, the app, the website, even our YouTube. You can see it through any of our streaming platforms instead of being out in it yourself.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. I mean, great advice. I mean, absolutely great advice. And again, it really does continue just to underscore the fact, and we mentioned it several times, and Mike, you've done a really elaborate job mentioning it throughout the day. It's the fact that if you don't have to get out and about, just don't do it. And I want to pull up the road conditions map again here, and again, just to kind of underscore what we're talking about as far as travel conditions, at least right now, being reported by the Oklahoma Highway Patrol. And again, where you're seeing the areas of red right there, that is now being reported as slick and hazardous. Primarily has been reported that way throughout the morning. It does include central Oklahoma. It does include west central Oklahoma. And even though it's not officially on there, I would also go and argue down towards the Lawton area because we did have a report of 4 inches of snow down around the Elgin area. I would also argue I-44, the Bailey Turnpike down towards Lawton, also slick and hazardous there as well. But again, west central Oklahoma, central Oklahoma, if you're in the red, essentially, if you don't have to get out and about, just don't do it. And I know it kind of sounds like a broken record if you've been joining our coverage throughout the morning. We've said it several times, but keep in mind we do have people joining, and obviously some people have to go and do other things. But just to underscore, these are the travel conditions in west central Oklahoma and beginning to try and develop now here in central Oklahoma. Again, if it's not an emergency, you don't have to go to work. Again, stay off the roads, keep yourself safe, keep your family safe, and then the other thing to keep in mind, keep your vehicle, keep your car, truck, SUV, whatever it is you have, keep that safe as well. Heaven forbid if you were in some type of a traffic snarl out there this morning. But again, as we go through the day, traffic conditions, they're only going to get worse, again, as we go through the day. Travel conditions, again, here in central Oklahoma, so not a good deal. Let me do this. Again, we're just kind of bouncing around with the team of trackers. Derek Machini, last time we talked to you, I believe you were out there in the Rocky area. That's in west central Oklahoma, south of the Weatherford area. We're looking at your video here as well. It's on the bottom left-hand side of the screen. We'll take it full. But give us an update from out there in west central Oklahoma. It had been snowing throughout most of the night out in that part of the state, but give us a live update.
Yeah, so I'm on Highway 9 right now between Mountain View and Coney Bow, heading east. And I will say between Rocky and Hobart on 153, the snow did cease for a little bit up until I got up to the Highway 9 exit. And obviously Highway 9 still has accumulation on it. But the roads were fairly clear between Rocky and the Highway 9 junction. As far as any accumulation that's come in. And I think all that has to do with, one, ODOT's been out, two, the snow, it ceased in that part, so there was no snow coverage coming down. After being on Highway 9, heading east, there is still snow accumulating on the ground, and so it is still slick, it's still dangerous. But it's one thing that we're kind of keeping an eye on today is the different areas in rural Oklahoma, at least for us, that still have accumulating snow and accumulating ice, as well as snowfall. It seems like the farther south that I've gone, the more snowfall I'm seeing. But right now, it's not as heavy as it has been today. Still falling rapidly, but the snowflakes themselves are not that big. So that's one of the great things that we're kind of keeping an eye on. But, the side roads, the county roads, the highways here south, mostly south, are still pretty treacherous to drive on. And so if you are out today, just be careful driving, as the road conditions are still not favorable for everyone to be on. Don't want any accidents. Definitely don't want people getting hurt or killed. So that's one thing I'm emphasizing is take precaution today, drive as slow as you need to. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to slow down right now because I just hit a patch of ice. But roads are still slick. So, keep an eye out for the weather, keep an eye out for the roads and the people around you. Back to you, William.
Yeah, Derek, great job. And again, great job staying safe out there as well. Keep saying that to our storm trackers. Again, they're really out there kind of venturing out in the conditions as well. So Derek Mashani, kind of essentially southwestern Oklahoma now, west central, southwestern Oklahoma. And again, he's kind of got his eye on what's going on, again, out in that part of the state. And then we have Mike Russ and Jesse, our senior storm trackers. They've been primarily staying out there in west central, on the western sides of the Oklahoma City metro, rather. And that's where we've seen some fairly heavy snow, especially out there around, it seems like between the Yukon, Mustang, and kind of Tuttle area. There was, it looked like a band of fairly heavy snow, looked like some accumulations up to near 3 inches, especially there in the Mustang area. Now, Mike's video, it's on the top left-hand side of your screen, rather. It looks like where they are now, snow amounts a little bit lighter. And of course, that's typical of snow. When you get snow, not everybody gets 3 inches, not everybody gets 1 inch. It's fairly localized, the amounts are. But Mike, tell us exactly where you are now. And again, it looks like you've gone from locations that maybe had 3 inches to now maybe more in the way of just an inch of snow or so. But give us an update on that.
Yes, William. We're still on 152, but it's instead of it being called 152, we're starting to get to where it's Airport Road 152. Now I can tell you we're here at 59th and 152 at the moment, coming up on Council Road. And I can tell you the conditions have kind of improved a little bit. The road appears to be a little more slushy than it was even in the Mustang proper. The Mustang proper definitely a lot more snow than where we're at presently here at Council Road in 152. But again, even though I said where the road is slushy where we're at, those bridges and overpasses, it can be very icy very quickly. So again, I don't want to underscore how slick the roads actually are out here. Just because I'm saying it's slushy where we're at now, we just drove out of the Mustang proper where the roads were very snow-packed and very slick. So again, it can sneak up on you very quickly. It's just not a safe day to be out. So if you don't have to be out, again, don't be out. But again, we're on 152 / Airport Road out here by the airport. And again, conditions, we're still receiving huge snowflakes. So the accumulations are going to start piling up out here relatively quickly, William.
To update, I was literally just now looking at our studio just to see. It looks like there's a band of moderate snow that's trying to come on in now to central Oklahoma. I was also looking at, I'm going to punch up our downtown Oklahoma City cam, and the only bad thing is there's some ice on the lens just from the freezing rain that we saw overnight. But as we take a look at our downtown Oklahoma City cam here, it's a little bit hard to see, but there is now where maybe 20 minutes ago, as you look at these grassy surfaces, there was no snow. There was no white here. There is now snow moving into downtown Oklahoma City. I apologize. That's the ice there that's on the ball of the camera. That's from the freezing rain overnight, so kind of hard to make out. But there is now snow, and as I'm looking at radar, it looks like there's potentially here a band, and I'm just trying to kind of decipher if that's more freezing rain or if we're truly getting the transition over now to snow that's trying to move into portions of the southwestern sides of the metro. And this is specifically what I'm talking about. Let's go and take this radar source here. And this is what I'm talking about. So the other radar we were looking at typically this time of year, kind of gives you the different colors. It gives you the mask of the type of precipitation. On a day like today where it's so borderline, again, where a degree or two can separate the type of precipitation. As we look at this just kind of base radar, again, you can see areas now of either at least some freezing rain, but I think this is some snow now that's moving on in. This is the same snow that was out here around Union City that dropped what looked like from Mike's video earlier about about 3 inches of snow. Not saying there's that heavy of snow moving in, but I think this is now snow moving on in to downtown Oklahoma City, the Moore area, and then also down here in Norman. We are getting some light snow again down here in Norman. So again, the snow is now moving in, and some of this snow could be moderately heavy. Again, just like what Mike's reporting, still out there just west of the airport, some big snowflakes. Mike, we're still looking at your video, and you're essentially right there. Tell us again exactly where you are. I know you're out there around Airport Road, but again, if this is basically transitioning over to snow on the far western sides of the metro, talking about out there around the airport, those would be some big flakes coming down. I'm seeing big flakes in your video, but where exactly are you at again?
We're going to be Airport Road, 152, and MacArthur, I believe, is what we just passed.
Yeah, so
We're going to be coming up on Meridian.
Yeah, so that's going to be snow moving
but William,
on
I'd
in.
like to know.
And Mike, give me just 1 second. And I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt you, but yeah, so this is snow. So what we're seeing here, especially with some of these reds, these are going to be some bigger snowflakes moving on in. So at least from the southwestern sides of the metro down around the airport, all the way over to downtown, and we'll keep our eye on that downtown OKC cam coming up again here momentarily. There is at least some moderately heavy snow moving on in. Mike, and I hated to interrupt you there. Go ahead and tell us what you were trying to say there.
Yes, William. In fact, I was going to say this snowband that's moving in right now, we're kind of on the fringes of it here, and I can tell you the snowflakes are actually big enough, wet enough. It actually sounds like it's raining inside the truck right now. This is what we hear when we're in a thunderstorm. So they're big, wet flakes, and they are accumulating quick out here, William.
Yeah, and just from the downtown Oklahoma City cam, I was just looking at that again, and I apologize. Again, this is ice, so it's a little bit hard to see. This is a glaze of ice over it, but if you look carefully, I took it full screen. See that right there? So those are the big snowflakes I was talking about. So we do have moderately heavy snow now moving into downtown. But again, those are the snowflakes. You're seeing it right there in real time. And so that is moving on in. So that will begin, at least now, the accumulation of snow again here in central Oklahoma. But again, that is moderately heavy snow moving on in. Mike, I want to take another look at your shot because, again, you're kind of right there in it as well. Again, in that area of, again, locally heavy snow. We're going to talk again to Derek Mashaney. I know Derek Mashaney's holding patiently there on the live line in western Oklahoma. We're going to get him right back up here momentarily as well. But Mike, go ahead and tell us again kind of where you are. And again, the snow that we're seeing in Mike's live shot, again, some of these larger snowflakes, this is what's moving in, especially down around the airport. The airport, southwestern sides there of Oklahoma City proper, now moving on in. Mike?
Yes. In fact, we're coming up on Meridian right now. But William, I can tell you the road out here, it's still kind of slushy, but it's definitely getting that accumulation on it now that we were seeing out west. So again, you definitely want to take it slow up here. Do not get in a rush to go anywhere. If you don't have to go anywhere, don't do it. The only good thing is I can tell you right now, this road, I know very well, and I know the speed limit is 60 miles an hour on this road, and usually people are flying down this road, 65, 70. That's just the way us Okies are. But I can tell you right now, that is not the case today. In fact, the fastest person may be doing maybe 40. So everyone is really taking it slow, taking it very carefully. So that is a huge plus out here. I'm happy to see that. But again, just don't be out if you don't have to. You know, our trucks are built for this. We specialize in building these trucks that handle all kinds of storm chasing conditions. They have the utmost maintenance on them. So we really know, and due to experience, we know how to drive on this stuff. And when we have to take things extremely careful, you know, some people don't have the experience that we do, and you just don't want to be out on these roads, William.
No, Mike, that's great advice. And what I've done, I've just kind of double boxed this here a little bit. And so I've switched over to Mesoscan XR extreme resolution radar. I've kind of taken the precipitation type colors off. But what we're looking at here, this is just locally heavy snow. And it's what Mike's driving through. It's what we're now picking up on our downtown OKC cam. Oklahoma City proper, downtown Oklahoma City here, Edmond here, Norman here. Light snow in Norman, but where we're seeing this area of red, this is what was out here in the Union City, Mustang area about 30 minutes ago. You folks out in that part of the state, or that part of the metro rather, picked up 2 to almost 3 inches of snow. We saw it on Mike's live video. That's now coming into the really Oklahoma City proper and maybe mixing, and I'm going to ask Mike this question here as well, maybe mixing with a little bit of freezing rain, but this is now moderate to moderately heavy snow moving into Oklahoma City proper. That's going to be falling there on top of the glaze that we saw overnight, of course, with the freezing rain. So again, we're talking about the bridges and overpasses. They're already glazed over. Those are already slick and hazardous. And we're now getting the snow on top of it. And I was looking at Mike's video here fairly carefully while he was talking. And again, you can see the roads are snow covered. You can see the ruts in the roads where folks are driving. But again, there is definitely snow-covered roads here. You're not actually seeing the pavement directly. There's kind of a glaze from the freezing rain overnight, and now there's snow directly on top of those. And again, we're now picking up this accumulating snow as this moderately heavy snow is building on in. Mike, where you are, and if you will, kind of tell me again exactly where you are, because this will matter as we're looking at radar. But it looks like you're actually literally right there by the airport. Are you getting any freezing rain mixing in at all, or is that only heavy snow that you're seeing? So in other words, Mike, I mean, if I'm right, just by looking at your video there, Mike's going to be right about here. So he's right there in the kind of the brightest shade of red. And so again, what we're seeing in real time, again, with those larger flakes coming down, is there any freezing rain there at all now, Mike, or is that only heavy snow now coming down?
Yes, William. We're going to be right here, right by the airport, right next to 89th, I believe, is where it's cutting south, just about a city block south of us here. In fact, we're coming on to the interchange here for 44 and 240. And William, right here where we're at, we're getting a mixed bag right now. We're getting snow and freezing, like what appears to be freezing rain and sleet all at the same time. Road conditions are slushy right in through here. Of course, the bridges, they're snow packed, they're icy. There's nothing other than that. You know, the bridges are bad. The roadways themselves, non-elevated, are slushy at the moment. In fact, we're coming up on 240, and 240 actually looks like it's moving pretty well. They're slower, but 240 is still moving out here, William.
Okay, and that'll be interesting to see a shot, Mike, whenever you guys get there of 240. So Mike is right there basically at 44 and 240. Obviously the airport there kind of off to the southwest side. OCCC kind of down in that area. And so we'll kind of be seeing exactly what I-240 looks like here momentarily. But that is heavy snow now moving in to the southwestern sides of the Oklahoma City metro. That band of locally heavy snow, and Mike said there is a little bit of wintry mix in it. There's a little bit of freezing rain. There's still a little bit of sleet mixing in, but it's primarily now a moderately heavy snow. It's lifting north, so it's going up towards Lake Hefner. It's also going up towards the Village and Bethany as well. So you see that area of red. That's what we're talking about right there. And again, that's what Mike was essentially involved in. There's I-240. Mike's going to be right back down in here. And so the intensity is coming down just some there. But again, locally heavy snow now. It's essentially moving on in to Oklahoma County. This is primarily going to be I-35, the I-35 corridor, Moore, Norman, all the way up through downtown Oklahoma City, all the way up through the Edmond area, that as we go over the next, hour or so, there will be that opportunity again for some locally heavy snow. Pulled up the downtown OKC cam again here as well. punch that up again, just kind of trying to eyeball it a little bit, just kind of seeing the snowflake size. You can actually see on the grassy surfaces a little bit more in the way of accumulation. You see that there, but still looks like we're seeing some fairly big snowflakes. Of course, this is ice. This is from the freezing rain we saw overnight, so we've got a glaze of ice on the camera there, unfortunately, but still looks like some moderately heavy snowflakes falling there. Mike, we're still looking at I-240, and Derek Mashani, we're going to get right back out to you in Western Oklahoma. I know you've got some stuff to talk about as well. Looking at I-240, looks like you're about to just kind of go around the loop there by OCCC. The roads look wet. Are they just kind of slushy wet? Give us an update there on I-240. You're on I-44. It looks like about to turn there onto I-240. Is that right?
Yes, we are going on to I-240 right now. And William, I can tell you the roads are wet and slushy right now, other than the bridges and overpasses. They seem to be pretty well socked in with ice, or, with an icy, slushy mix. So again, everyone is taking it slower out here. We are still noting that. But I can tell you after last night's event, right there, just coming out of that corner on the I-44 eastbound side, which curves to the north right there, it kind of looks bad. There's multiple vehicles that are sitting waiting to be recovered at a later time, William, and that was from the icy roads last night. That people were on, and it just kind of popped up on them, and that's what we don't want today by any means. So again, that's why we're out. Watch us at home or in your office or wherever you may have to be. But don't be on these roads if you don't have to. ODOT is out here. They're working very hard. Hats off to all the DOT members here in the state today. Not just the ones working those salt and sand trucks. It also takes a whole crew just to load those trucks up with salt and sand. So there's a lot that goes into that. And we definitely want to show our appreciation for those guys, law enforcement agencies, fire departments, ambulatory, anyone that has to be out here in these situations working. Your hat really goes off to them, because this is just kind of miserable out here. But they are really, really doing a great job out here, William.
Yeah, Mike, no, absolutely. It couldn't be better said than, what you just said. It's absolutely a team effort that, again, ODOT, even the city crews that it takes, again, to treat these roads. And again, right, they don't just show up and turn on the truck and take off. They've got to load it, and it's a full team effort. Folks at the station, folks driving, and again, folks away from their family out kind of battling the road in the cold conditions as well. And again, it can also be said, again, what our team of trackers is doing out there as well. Again, kind of battling the elements, battling the traffic, and again, battling these conditions as well. And again, they're doing it very well. And again, they have been all yesterday and really all today as well, as we've been covering this winter weather. One more quick question, Mike, then I want to get back out to Western Oklahoma and talk to Derek Mashani. I'm just trying to look at kind of the grassy surfaces there. And again, Mike Russ and Jesse, our senior team of storm trackers here, they're on I-240 on the southern sides of the Oklahoma City Metro. But as I'm looking at the grassy surfaces, and again, some of the snow just now moving in, obviously, it looks kind of more or less kind of like a dusting, give or take. What would you kind of guesstimate snow totals being right there, right now?
Yes, William. In fact, I turned the camera so you could really see that grassy surface. The grassy surface here is definitely just a dusting. It doesn't look like the changeover has been here for very long. But again, just probably 8 miles to the east or west of us right now, it's a completely different story. So again, yeah, it looks to be just a dusting in this area right now. We're going to be at Western and I-240, William.
Okay, Mike, really appreciate that update there. I want to jump back out to Western Oklahoma as well. And yeah, we're really seeing that shot there, Mike, of you kind of turning the camera. I'm going to just kind of double box all this. I want to get back out to West Central Oklahoma. We're going to kind of hold Mike's shot there as well. And I believe we still have Derek Mashani. I know he's really been patiently waiting on the line. And you're out in Western, maybe southwestern Oklahoma now. Derek, tell us where you are exactly, and give us a live update as well.
Yes, I'm on Highway 54 right now, heading towards Lawton. I will say for about a good mile, just a few moments ago, it was a solid sheet of ice on Highway 54, and we are actually driving over a solid sheet of ice. I've slid probably 3 or 4 times. I've had to drop down to almost 35, 40 miles per hour on a 65, 70 mile per hour highway. The snow has picked up here compared to where I was on Highway 9. The visibility is definitely down, probably to a mile, half mile, as far as what my eye can see. So, that's kind of telling you the farther south we're getting, definitely the more snow accumulation that we've definitely incurred. But if you can see my camera, you can see 54 is a sheet of ice on the southbound lane. The northbound lane looks a little bit more clear. I've seen a little more clear. I have seen semis, going normal speeds. But if you're heading south on 54, it is definitely a little bit more dangerous than what the north lane is carrying. So that's one thing I'm keeping an eye on right now is the snow. I do want to kind of point out some areas definitely have received a little bit more snow than others. Currently, right now, you can look at the grass. It's probably a good dusting on a good portion of it. But we're also seeing areas too where it looks like the accumulation can be up to almost 2 inches just on the sides. So that it should kind of tell you how rapidly everything is kind of developing the farther south that we're getting. But literally, 54 right now is it looks like to be a solid sheet of ice with snow over it because it is slick. But if you are traveling, be careful.
Yeah, Derek, and we got a report from the National Weather Service just north of Lawton, up around the Elgin area, 4 inches of snow. And, just like we've seen with Mike as well, snowfall amounts are always fairly localized just because one specific, backyard saw 4 inches. That does not necessarily mean even on the same block that another backyard saw 4 inches. So snow is very localized. But down there in that area, down around Lawton on the northern sides, again, up towards Elgin, we did have a report from the Weather Service earlier this morning of 4 inches. So it'll be interesting to see as you're kind of going around down there, around the Lawton area, exactly what we get as far as accumulations go. Just kind of eyeballing and just kind of guesstimating what you're seeing there. And I believe you're just on the western sides of Lawton right now. But what would you say? To me, just from looking at your video, it looks like maybe an inch of snow. But again, just from what you're seeing there, what would you guesstimate?
I could definitely verify it's definitely at least an inch of snow, if not a little bit more. And I'm just north of Lawton, probably, I don't know a good distance, but, that kind of tells you that, the farther north of Lawton you are, up to the south part of Lawton, it's definitely changing. And so I'm definitely in agreement. There's probably at least an inch to a little bit more, maybe an inch and a quarter to an inch and a half of snow. That has accumulated, especially on the side of the roads. But, it's also not factoring in the ice, too, that, is here. So definitely unsafe conditions to be driving in. If you ain't got to be out, don't be out. Stay at home, relax, enjoy the day. Drink your coffee, whatever it is you do on a snow day, just stay off the roads. As an experienced storm tracker, being in Oklahoma all my life, I can definitely tell you today, being an experienced driver is still a challenge. I'm sure Mike can probably verify that. That's how dangerous the road conditions are. So, definitely keeping an eye on what's happening. I have noticed that the snow bands have died out just a little bit. They're still there, but they're not falling as heavy. So, we'll kind of keep an eye on that as we kind of move closer towards the Lawton area, Wichita Mountains area. So once we get kind of closer to that side, I can definitely verify, kind of what the National Weather Service is. But for right now, definitely south of Lawton on Highway 54, it's still dangerous. So that's kind of counting on the county roads, the highways, be careful. That's all I ask. Back to you, William.
Yeah, Derek, great job down there and great report as well. I want to bounce right back over to Mike Russ. And again, Mike, looks like you just got off of I-240. You're on I-35. Looks like northbound now. And so it looks like, I mean, again, this has been a pretty tight transition zone from going from some heavy snow that you were in, again, out around the Mustang area. Still had some fairly heavy snow around the airport with some accumulation, and you could actually even see it on the roadways as well. You're now basically to I-35, approaching downtown fairly soon, and it looks like primarily the roads are just wet right now where you are. Are you still seeing any snow at all, or give us an update there, again, from your vantage point?
Yes, William. The roads are primarily wet. There's a few little slushy spots. Nothing that's going to be too dangerous there. But again, the bridges and overpasses are still going to be a concern. I know for myself, I would not trust, or I don't trust them. I know my driver doesn't either, so we're still taking it very careful over the bridges. But again, as far as the actual roadway of 35 North right now, it is not bad at all, William. And traffic is moving at they're still slower than normal, but we're moving a little bit faster than what we've been moving all day. But again, that's going to change as this transitions over to snow here in the downtown area.
Yeah, Mike, and we're I switched the radar source here as well, back over to Mesoscan XR. Now, the band of snow and a little bit of wintry mix, the kind of the heavier band that we tracked basically from the Mustang area where you were earlier, with 2 to maybe 3 inches of snow we saw there, and some fairly tough travel conditions. This is it now. It's actually lifting fairly quickly there to the northeast. It's moving now through the western sides of Edmond. Could be some snow, a little bit of wintry mix. You see that area of red there. So again, where Mike and Jesse are, they're kind of back down in here now. So kind of a bit of a transition zone, but we also have this area lifting back to the north as well. And this right here will also be really an area of mix, locally heavy mix, and some snow that is also lifting through as well. It's currently lifting through the Noble area here in Norman fairly quickly, and then again towards portions of downtown as well. Let's go and switch back to the other radar source. And again, the main thing we've been tracking as we've gone through the day, western Oklahoma, it's essentially been all snow. And in fact, that's where Derek Mashaney, who's down in Lawton, who we just talked to, he was in the Weatherford area earlier. It was all snow there. But what we've been tracking now as we've gone through the morning is this all snow, this pure snow line. Again, we're seeing the area of white. That's going to slowly approach the I-35 corridor as we go through the day. We've already had some snow here in central Oklahoma, talking about from Norman up through Edmond, but it's still a bit of a mix as well. But again, as we go through the morning, this band of pure snow, all snow, that will continue to track towards the I-35 corridor, and that's when we will continue to see some of the accumulating snow. You live again out in El Reno, you live out in the Mustang area, you live out in the Yukon area, you live out in the Union City area. Yes, you've already seen 2 to potentially 3 inches of snow, and there is still that real deal possibility again for the Norman area all the way up through the Edmond area, again as we go through the late morning and into the afternoon as well. But again, it's a fine line right now. And again, where Mike was at the airport, maybe 10 minutes ago, the travel conditions there, essentially at Airport Road and I-44, again, where there was some snow on the roadways. The roadways were snow covered to, again, now on I-35 approaching downtown. This is I-35 here. They're essentially just wet. Travel still not recommended, still slick spots out there, slick and hazardous being reported in central Oklahoma. But again, it's a fine line of exactly where you are in central Oklahoma compared to where the travel conditions are currently. Now, as we go through the day today, as we get into the afternoon, again, that line will continue to move just a little bit further to the east, and that opportunity for accumulating snow, again, will also approach the I-35 corridor. And again, talking about the hometowns from Norman, downtown OKC, all the way up, again, through the Edmond area. But again, locations like the Village, even back over through Lake Hefner, some of those locations have already seen some snow, and in fact, there's even been some light snow down here in Norman. But again, again, Mike, as you're kind of out in it, I mean, would you agree it's a very tight line from, again, where you had snow on the ground, almost sideways snow, again, to where you are now, where it's essentially maybe some light snow, maybe some light mix, and again, the roadways are just primarily wet there as you're just about to be approaching downtown here in over just the next few minutes. Would you agree with that?
Yes, William. In fact, we are actually downtown, and I can tell you, it really is kind of a tale of two different areas. And I went ahead and put the shot on the downtown district just to kind of show how low that cloud deck is as well. It kind of really caught my interest how low it was. You cannot see the top of Devon Tower, that's for sure.
Mike, your
But
video,
again,
the video runs just about, and I just want to tell the viewers just real quick, the video typically runs about 30 seconds late, and there you're seeing it right now. So it just took them a second for the video to catch up, but there it is. And so again, it's basically snow haze. It's a mix of snow and mix. And again, just like Mike's saying, and again, I'm not trying to take away from your story there, Mike, but it's hard to see the downtown skyline. But again, you're seeing it right there, Mike. I apologize for interrupting you there.
No problem, William. I can tell you, as we're on 235 here, again, it is a tale of kind of two different zones out here, you might say. Like I said, coming through Mustang, we had inches of snow on the ground. Here, it looks like we've had just a light dusting, and the ODOT has really been treating these roads. In fact, here on 235, I've seen probably four or five ODOT trucks just working in tandem here together, just really doing a phenomenal job out here. But again, the roads are just wet at the moment, but I still take it very carefully. That's part of why we're going up north. We kind of want to give a good view of what's going on the ground throughout the city, William.
Yeah, Mike, and again, great reporting there. So again, Mike basically going through downtown, going to be approaching fairly quickly kind of the I-44 corridor again there where Penn Square Mall would be kind of off towards the left. But again, it really is a tale of two different stories right now in central Oklahoma, again, where right now it's primarily wet on I-35. We say that with, kind of tongue in cheek. That doesn't mean get out on the roadways. It's still considered slick and hazardous. Travel not recommended anywhere in central Oklahoma. But again, compared to where Mike was at the airport, where the roads were snow covered, and at times there was heavy snow coming down with that snow burst that came through, compared to where he is now, again, where it's primarily wet. And again, a lot of that also has to do, just like with Mike, what Mike said, with the ODOT crews that again have been pre-treating and treating the roads. And again, a lot of that is turning some of that ice and snow back into liquid. But again, right now, travel still not recommended in central Oklahoma. If you don't have to get out and about, if it's not an emergency, you don't have to go to work, it's better just to stay in, stay safe, keep yourself safe, keep your family safe. And then, of course, the other thing we've said really throughout the morning, it's also your car, it's your vehicle, it's your truck, your SUV, whatever it is, keep that safe as well. For, heaven forbid, you were in some type of a traffic snarl. You don't want to be involved in one just running to the grocery store, running to the mall, running an errand. Stay home, stay safe. Obviously, there's some folks that have to go to work. There's no way around it, or you have an emergency or something like that, then yes, absolutely, you have to get out on the roads. But if it's not one of those, again, with slick and hazardous roads being reported, it's better to stay off the roads. Again, winter storm warning in effect here. Conditions favorable for heavy snow as we go through the day today. You don't want to travel somewhere, then also get stuck wherever you are. So again, really just not good conditions, again, as we go through the day today. I want to do this here as well. I want to go back down into portions of southwestern Oklahoma. We also have some great video coming in from Derek Machaney, one of our other storm trackers down around the Lawton area. And Derek, we're also eyeballing your video coming in here. I believe you're still down around the Lawton area. We've had a report down in Elgin, just north of Lawton, of right around 4 inches of snow. And it looks like you may have found an area of some fairly heavy snow down around Lawton. But Derek, you're on the live line. Give us an update down around the Lawton area.
Yes, William. So I'm still on Highway 54, just south or just north of Lawton right now. If you can take a look at my camera, you can kind of see the accumulation that has formed down in this area. The snowflakes are pretty good size. I'm going to say probably around a half a quarter at least. But I would not be surprised right now if I were to kind of make an estimated guess. I would say probably around 2.5, 3 inches where I'm sitting right now. And that's because the snow accumulation is falling heavy. And I will say this: still, 54 is dangerous to be on. We've had trouble traveling on it as we have slid in numerous places. But that just kind of shows you the amount of accumulation that these roads are receiving. And so, be careful if you are out. If you are doing anything today and you don't need to be out, don't travel. Put yourself and other people in danger when it's not necessary. But I kind of wanted to give you a little bit of a shot of where we are right now, because the snow is falling pretty rapidly, coming in from the north to the south. So the bands are still pretty heavy. Are keeping an eye on that, and we are going to try and make our way up toward Lawton. Back to you, William.
Okay, Derek, really appreciate that update. And also just a quick question as far as snowfall amounts go. And just like we've kind of said throughout the day, snowfall amounts, it's very localized. One backyard may see 4 inches, another backyard may only see 3 inches. It's a very localized event. But again, we have had some reports down there, some official reports of right around 4 inches of snow. And so again, as we're just kind of eyeballing it, what we're kind of seeing there in the grassy surfaces, to me, I'm not necessarily seeing 4 inches. It looks like maybe 1, maybe 2 inches. But what would you kind of, and again, I know you're having to kind of guesstimate, but what would you guesstimate some of these snowfall totals are, at least right now where you are down around Lawton?
Right now, just being south of Lawton, I would estimate snowfall total, and this is only some areas compared to others. Some areas I've seen probably around 2.5 inches. Some areas I've seen about an inch and a half. If you look on if you see my camera, you can literally see that 54 is covered in snow. That's how rapid, the snow is accumulating and how fast it's falling from the sky. For a road to be able to take that much snow on and be covered pretty quickly, that's a pretty good amount of snow. And I can tell you right now, there's ice underneath it because I'm sliding on it right now as we speak. But that just kind of tells you the dangerous conditions we're driving in. Right now where I'm at, I'm going to say probably around 2.5 inches of snow that has accumulated, especially in the fields, but also on the side of the roads as well. And probably about a 1/2 inch to an inch on the road itself. So definitely keeping an eye on that. That's the thing about snow is, if there's any sort of freezing materials that's going to be underneath that snow, so you're not going to physically see it, you'll be able to tell it when you drive. But so you have to be careful when you are driving. But we are keeping an eye on the conditions out here, and it does seem the farther south that we do get, William, the more dangerous it's becoming to drive, especially on Highway 54 heading towards Lawton. Back to you, William.
Okay, really appreciate that update there, Derek. Also just kind of looking at our studio here from downtown Norman. And Mike, another question for you. We're kind of, again, bouncing between our storm trackers here, because this is going to be the question now as we get deeper into the morning and as we go really into the first part of the afternoon. It's when we truly get the transition from snow, and if we get the transition to full snow, pure snow, here in central Oklahoma, up and down the I-35 corridor. Right now, we're still getting a bit of a mix. We've had some snow burst, especially over around the airport. But right now, the pure snow is still staying across portions of western Oklahoma, where you're seeing the all white. See that there? But where you're kind of seeing the purplish color, there's still a bit of a mix. And a lot of times that will limit this snowfall accumulation, because you're not necessarily getting snow, you're getting some freezing rain and a little bit of sleet mixing in as well. So Mike, kind of the question now as we go through the rest of the morning into the early afternoon, and again I'm asking Mike, who's just north of downtown Oklahoma City there approaching Edmond, what is the precipitation type where you are? Are you getting snow, or are you still kind of getting this wintry mix / freezing rain?
It's definitely going to be the wintry mix, but mostly what appears to be a freezing rain out here, William. This is going to be Wilshire and 235. Yeah, 235 up here. The bridges still are probably the nastiest part of the road. The actual roads themselves are just wet. But again, that I don't want to underscore. There's going to be slip spots, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to be there. So don't let them come up on you and catch you off guard. But again, right now, William, we're at Britton Road and 235 right now. We're still just right now, just kind of a mixed bag, but leaning a little more on the rain side of things.
A little bit more on the freezing rain side of things. Again, we're seeing the roadway you're on currently. Again, it does look wet. Again, if you're joining our coverage maybe 20 minutes ago or so now, as Mike was over around the airport on the southwestern sides of Oklahoma City proper, we had a burst of fairly heavy snow, and it was mainly a mix of pure snow that moved through. And again, there was accumulating snow. There was snow on the roadways, and again, travel in that area was definitely slick and hazardous. Now, again, you get a little bit further to the west where Mike was earlier this morning, out around the Mustang area, out around the Union City area, out around the Yukon area, which again is kind of still on the southwestern side. It's kind of a stretch of the Oklahoma City metro. Again, we had 2 to maybe 3 inches of snow on the ground out there. So again, it's a razor sharp line. It's a razor sharp line right now of who is seeing all snow, who's not seeing all snow, and exactly where the snowfall accumulations are, again, here in central Oklahoma. Now, even with that being said, the one thing that we want to keep underscoring, and even if it kind of sounds like a broken record or we're saying it ad nauseum, we just want to reiterate over and over that, again, if you don't have to get out and travel today, don't do it. Even though the roads look fairly wet right now in central Oklahoma, again, it's probably not even a 10 to 15 mile gradient from where Mike was earlier, where the roads are snow covered, 2 to 3 inches of snow there. Again, airport just out to the west, again, to the I-35 corridor where it's primarily wet. There are still slick spots. We've been seeing freezing rain essentially all night now through the morning. Again, where Mike is right now, the bridges and overpasses, they are slick and hazardous. And again, don't risk yourself, your family, or your vehicle, your car, truck, SUV, whatever it is. Don't risk those things, again, being out on the roads today. Again, if you don't have to be. Some folks obviously have to go to work. Some folks obviously have an emergency, whatnot. But again, today's not the day just to be running an errand, going to the mall, doing things like that you don't have to do. Again, stay in and stay safe. And again, that's essentially what our storm trackers, again, are reporting,
Can I get one piece
again,
of
from out
advice?
there at from the field as well. Mike, go ahead. I think I heard something from you coming in. Mike, go ahead and, I'm sorry, go and say that again.
Yes, William. I also wanted to add one thing, especially for those in western Oklahoma. If you do have to travel, please clear off your windows. Do not be driving through a little hole in your windshield. Don't do it. That's a good way to cause a wreck. Make sure all your windows are clear. Go the extra mile. Clear your hood. Clear your roof. Because that snow can come right off your roof, smash into somebody else's windshield, and with as heavy of a snow event as this is, that's extremely heavy snow, it can crack a windshield or completely bust it. So that's another thing I kind of wanted to touch on is make sure you're doing yourself and your neighbor a favor. Make sure you clear your windows, clear your car of the snow and the ice. Don't be out there driving through a little hole in your front and back window. That's just completely unsafe, unnecessary. Take just literally 2 minutes. You can do it in 2 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. So please make sure you're clearing your vehicles, taking care of yourself, taking every precaution to be safe.
Yeah, very well spoken, Mike. Very, very well spoken. I can tell you that right now. I want to go back down to the Lawton area as well, and that's where we have Derek Mashaney. Derek, I think we may have just temporarily lost your video. As soon as it's back up, we'll take it. But I'd like to get another update down around the Lawton area and what's going on down there. Again, in the Elgin area, which is just north of Lawton. Earlier this morning, we did have a report of right around 4 inches of snow. Derek, you've really been reporting some fairly slick and hazardous conditions down around the Lawton area and down around the Wichita Mountains. But if you're still on the live line with us, and we'll check your video again as it's coming in, give us another update from what you're seeing down there around the Lawton area.
Yes, William. So I'm about probably 45 minutes from Lawton, just south of Lawton on Highway 54. and we are taking it very, very slow. This is going to probably turn into a 2-hour drive just to get there. But that just speaks some words right now. Highway 54 is covered in ice and snow. It hasn't been touched hardly, and a lot of that has to do with, ODOT. They're working around the clock to try and clear every possible road that they can. But currently right now, I mean, it's heavy, and the snowfall is pretty heavy. It's not as big as it has been, but it's more accumulation. It's basically coming from the sky. And so, that kind of should tell you right now, as slow as we're going, where we're at, it's dangerous. And definitely the snow accumulation is probably up around 2.5 inches up in some spots. So, that's definitely something that's occurring. But, also I've noticed, too, the overpasses are slick, and they're covered in snow here, too. So be careful if you are up around Lawton, south of Lawton, north of Lawton, where a lot of this heavy snowfall has occurred due to the fact that, it's creating dangerous road conditions. And so, be careful. It's like Mike said earlier, clear your windows off. Not only that, it's illegal to have your windows covered with ice because it impairs your vision to see the people in front of you, which again creates another hazard for those that are around you, essentially. So, be careful. Clear your windows, clear your vehicle. If you have to get out, be careful. That's I can't express that enough. As today is a safe day, and it looks like ODOT is actually here. They're on the north side, heading north, but they are trying to clear 54. I can verify that. So they are on 54 right now, trying to get these cleared out as much as they can. Oh yeah, you can see right there. But be careful today. That's the main factor. If you don't have to get out, do not get out. It's dangerous, and it can put you and the people around you in a dangerous situation, and not only hurt your vehicle too. So be careful if you are traveling, especially Western Oklahoma. It's not safe to be out right now. Back to you, William.
Okay, Derek, really appreciate that update. And again, great job. And again, great job to really our entire team of trackers. Again, staying safe out there today. It's tough on them to be out in these conditions as well. Obviously, trying to kind of traverse these wintry roads. Here's what we're going to do. We've been on with you for about 2.5 hours here, kind of with nonstop coverage. We're going to take a quick break. I'm just going to look over some new data coming in here to the Forecast Center, update a couple things. We're going to take probably about a 10-minute break here, and then we'll be right back with you with more live coverage, continuing team coverage even, again, with our team of trackers in the field as well. Otherwise, keep it here with Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV. We'll keep you up to date with the latest live weather information for Oklahoma.